It's happening! It's happening!
Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
So do we give the crown this week to Essa Lindell for just selling the heck out of that? Like, would Crown Royal get behind selling Essa Lindell's beautiful acting job? It was almost as though he could have been in Game of Thrones the way he fell. The big battle scene that nobody could actually see because it was... Did you know about this? Do you know about the...
Well, okay, so I know what happened, and I know about the fact that Game of Thrones is filmed in such a way that you can't see anything.
Well, no, not Game of Thrones, just this one episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is what bothers me.
Is it on purpose? Because it's at night?
Well, okay, here's what I would suggest. People in the film industry, especially when they get to very big creative heights, which the creators of Game of Thrones have, and they deserve all the credit in the world for that. Forget that they're in the McDonald's of their genre. If you are the biggest show, you're McDonald's.
So easily accessible.
Easily accessible.
Right.
Your job, you taste delicious. Every time I come back, I'm satisfied. So how come it's like if you're the biggest, how come I am struggling to find your burger? Do you know what I'm saying? Right. And this is my issue is that like you created a show and created an episode that nobody could see. What the hell is the point? You think, okay, you can watch it on a movie screen and it'll look great. It's like every time Quentin Tarantino makes a movie, it's, well, I'm going to do it in 70 millimeter. Good for you, Quentin. Guess what? The rest of us don't give a fuck.
Well,
we just want to watch.
He's a film snob.
Stop being a snob when you're McDonald's.
Yeah.
Snobbery is for one restaurant. If you want to have 80 million restaurants like McDonald's does, you can't be a snob about it.
It's, God.
So anyway.
So many times in school and in my experience in the industry, there are a lot of half-hour conversations that should take 3 minutes.
Yes.
What if we do this and we do that? No, listen. All people care about is I beat this drum since I was a teenager. Listen, content is king, and people forget about that. Oh, she stabbed him with. That's crazy.
Yeah. You know what no one cared about? How fucking dark it was. Everybody cared about what happened, right?
So
right?
there's a couple things with the Game of Thrones thing.
Okay, please tell me.
One, it was half shot like that on purpose. Do you know, have you ever seen like a great boxing movie? So they do the scenes in real close so you can't tell it's fake boxing.
Yes.
They'll like do it from the boxer's face so that it's not like that. Game of Thrones was filmed and shot especially dark in this scene because there's so much CGI. There's friggin' dragons. For some believability in there, you need it kind of dark so it looks more realistic.
Hey.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
You know what looks realistic? Braveheart. You know when they did that? In the light, in the 90s, and it still looks good.
They didn't do that on a 4K television in 2019.
You know what? HBO needs to open its damn wallet. It's the only show they have left. That and like Real Time with Bill Maher. Like what other shows does HBO have? Right? Open your wallet for this. This is driving subscriptions.
two
Whatever
more
it
things.
costs, make it look real.
Two more things. Two, most TVs aren't calibrated to see picture at the right picture.
Sure.
Like energy saving is on, which it should never be. Your contrast is never. It should be over contrasted so you pick up the colors correctly.
Jesse hates the environment.
Your brightness should be up whole bunch. These things are never accurate in the normal household television.
True. Yep.
3, I assume, or they say the editors of Game of Thrones of this episode did it in the environment that are shot in. So it was edited in the dark on a giant screen. So they edited in the wrong location. You shouldn't be editing in a super dark room on a 8K monitor that's the size of a room. HBO should be
editing on a TV that's 25 inches.
They should be taking into consideration the average person, which they clearly didn't do because you can see everything in a super dark, pitch black room where you have a giant TV.
Yes.
If something's there, you can see it, but the average person is never going to see it. So I think it's on them that they shouldn't even they should consider the first two.
It's a failure.
It's a failure.
Yeah. That was your biggest episode of all time. And listen, I loved the content.
But I should watch from the start.
No. Listen.
And it wasn't even the whole, it was like a couple scenes, really.
It drove me fucking
crazy,
It was
like, I don't know, 10 minutes of a 90-minute show.
I'm one of those jerks that pays for their HBO subscription, all right?
Whoa.
I know there's the rest of y'all in there ripping it off. I get it.
Crazy.
However, if I'm paying for it, I would like to be able to see it. Now, here's a weird side story, but it sort of relates. One of the weird reasons that Guns N' Roses stopped getting along, other than the fact that Axl Rose is certifiable, is that
This is what happens when the Leafs are out.
is that with Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which was the double album that really should have been one album because it was so bloated with bad songs.
I always say.
Axl Rose wanted to record it on this new stereo system at the time that essentially it would be mixed properly for a stereo system with 5 different speakers. You imagine in 1991, 5 different speakers, and they all would have been 20 pounds because all speakers were enormous and fat and very heavy back then. Mm-hmm. And Slash said to him, dude, like, who owns this? Our audience is poor and young. Mm-hmm. Our audience is guys with cassette tapes, not CD players.
Yeah.
They're listening on a Walkman. Like, in what circumstance are they going to be able to hear this properly? And Axel's like, no, the art. And that's what I think Game of Thrones
It's like Ariana Grande mixing a song and expecting people to listen to it on a Bose stereo system when most of her audience is listening on shitty Apple earpods.
I asked, I'm going to trip over the name drop here, but I had one interview with Miley Cyrus one time. And I said, where was the first time you heard We Can't Stop? Because it was when she was at her peak, right? That was her big album. And she said the first time I heard it is I had it downloaded on an old iPod that I still have. And she said, and I listened to it on those cheap headphones that go along with the iPod. And I said, really? I'm like, you didn't go for a drive or whatever? And she's like, no, I listened to it because I knew that's how my audience was listening to it, and I wanted to make sure it was good.
And if you can't pick up the important parts of the song in those headphones, then what's the point of doing the song?
What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point?
HBO's different.
I think the HBO's execs are not happy about that.
Nah.
You spent $100 million on one episode?
You know what, Adam? Get a home theater.
Wait, it was $100 million?
It was like, no, was it $100 million on this season or just the one episode?
I don't know.
I'm assuming season.
Maybe it was just.
I
think the majority was spent on this or a good chunk of it was spent on this episode. Anyway, regardless, if I were gonna,
I enjoyed every minute of that episode.
I
it
did
was
too.
Very good.
It just bothered me that I couldn't see more. I just wanted to see more, Jesse.
When are we done? When are TVs going to be good enough? We're finished.
That's a good question.
Like that's what I want to, because you're talking about like CGI was part of it. So I've talked about how I'm starting to get into The Sopranos, and it takes me back to a time where it was just standard definition or whatever. But then like the last season is shot in HD, and you're like, oh, Silvio. Oh, Tony. Like the wings don't look as good on Paulie.
Yeah.
No, everything looks and they're aging as the series progresses. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh, I did not need to see Tony Soprano in HD.
Each episode of Game of Thrones costs more than a year of Connor McDavid.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much do they each cost?
$15 million around per episode. So the $100 million is for the entire season.
For the entire season.
Which is only 6 episodes.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, like the entirety.
The entire season is 6 episodes, and it costs $100 million.
See, Oilers fans are right. He did take it.
And Oilers fans got more satisfaction out of that episode on Sunday, let's be honest.
Whoa.
Than Connor McDavid's entire deal?
No, not Connor's year. Edmonton's year. No, if I were to give the crown to anybody.
Arya Stark.
Bingo. That's, you know what? Forget it. Since we don't have the Leafs anymore, who wore the crown in Game of Thrones? We'll do that every week.
I would love that.
Arya Stark, absolutely, because finally we got to see her kick some ass.
Yeah.
And she had, Steve, you remember Phantom Menace, Steve, Star Wars episode 1?
You should say spoilers.
Yes.
Well, it's not really a spoiler. She fights. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
You remember how Darth Maul looked with the double-sided lightsaber?
Yeah.
That's Arya Stark, who we've watched grow up since she was like 11.
Wow, same.
And she like helicopter slices people.
I've seen it.
I've
seen it.
It's righteous.
Yeah.
So she wears the crown.
Can I do spoiler-filled discussion?
Oh, sure. Okay. Spoiler!
Okay.
Skip this part.
Anybody who hasn't seen the most recent episode of Game of Thrones,
I'm waving at the camera, and I will wave again when it's time to listen.
Yeah.
Waving now.
Also, okay. So, did Arya Stark? I heard this on. I heard somebody suggest it. Did Arya Stark have the best 24 hours in television history? Before she killed the Night King, she lost her virginity.
Was that 24 hours?
Within 24 hours, she loses her virginity.
Oh,
and then,
in real time.
And then in real time in the show, and then kills the biggest evil guy in the entire show.
She got swag.
What a badass!
That's why. So like I've been keeping up like a little bit, and I laughed at Pete Blackburn's tweet. The power of sex.
Right?
Man, you could say, I laughed at Pete Blackburn's tweet every fucking day.
Oh, yeah.
Day.
That guy's on fire.
The,
right
Dra-
now.
the Drake with the Night King on it.
Yeah.
And what was great was Complex put that picture up on their website and didn't credit him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Pete, I think, gets his stuff stolen all the time.
Oh,
'Cause it's
man.
so
But
good.
it's fucking Complex.
I
Like,
know.
holy shit.
Oh, I know.
Sorry. Spitting chips at you.
No, that's all right.
Spitting chiplets.
Oh, we are so friends. I was about to say that exact thing. Chiplets is not a word, and we both thought it at the same time.
Like,
God, that's
I don't
crazy.
know what that rivals in terms of like
Our
epic-
friendship or Arya Stark?
Arya Stark's
Oh, okay.
moment. Yes. Like, what other great TV moments are better than those that
In a 24-hour span?
in a 24-hour span?
Well, what did Jack Bauer do in 24? I never saw 24, so I don't know. But I feel like he probably
that's a good
managed that. 24-hour in TV history. It has to be TVs.
Yeah, TV.
In one TV day.
Hey Arnold and the Mauve Avenger, winning the boxcar thing.
I like that. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I remember
The
that.
Mauve Avenger.
The Mauve Avenger, remember? Because they had to combine the two cars. It was like the Dark Avenger and the Mauve Storm. And then the
I
two
do
cars
remember that.
crashed and they had to make like a Franken car, the Mauve Avenger.
I think that was good.
I loved it.
In TV history, I'm trying to think of some other big shows like Seinfeld. Seinfeld never really had a timeline. It's really tough to.
Yeah.
It's tough to really gauge what's a day in Seinfeld. You know what I mean?
Kramer had some. I'm trying to think Kramer's best moment. Like, because Kramer got pretty lucky a couple of times.
Well, Kramer cleaning up that highway is still my favorite episode of all time when he adopts the piece of the highway. So my favorite
He's
thing.
putting the lines on it.
Elaine goes,
Man, I don't know. You know what?
No.
I'm curious to hear what people think. By the way, I'm waving again. We are spoiler free. Spoiler free now. We're in spoiler free zone.
are we doing the crown?
Yeah. Well, we gave it to Arya Stark. By the way, we're in the middle of the Crown conversation.
I don't get to give a hockey crown?
We're talking about Game of Thrones, the Toronto way. Brought to you by Crown Royal. No, honestly, yeah. I mean, you put the crown. Who are you putting the crown on in these playoffs, sir? Is it Essa Lindell?
Curtis McElhaney.
Yo, I can't even hate that. That's
He came into game 2
wow.
against the Islanders, cold, didn't allow a single goal, stopped 17 shots. Hurricanes are up 2-0.
oldest goalie since I believe 1972 to get a playoff win, like first playoff win.
First playoff win.
Isn't that
yeah.
crazy?
That's in his third playoff appearance, I believe. He had one in 2009 with the Flames. He had one
there you go.
last year that we were there for.
Oh yeah,
Because Freddie got yanked.
that was fun.
And yeah, finally won this one. How are the Hurricanes doing this with Peter Mrazek and Curtis McElhaney?
Well, that's a good question, but let me answer it with this. Next game you happen to be watching, why not enjoy Puck Drop with a Crown Royal? Who wore the crown? Sponsored by Crown Royal.
Wow. That's great.
Or the next time you want to see the Night King, Crown Royal. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe you
Ah,
should
spoiler.
drink out of a mug made of Valerian
Steel.
steel.
There you go. All right,
If
you're working
I
it
have
in.
Twitter.
If
Yeah.
Mrazek and McElhaney end up going to the Stanley Cup, or winning the Stanley Cup, do they replace Cam Ward on the list of the worst goalie to ever win the Stanley Cup?
Who is the worst goalie ever?
It's Cam Ward.
Is it Cam Ward?
I think it's Cam Ward.
The answer is someone from the 80s. For sure, right? It has to be.
Whoever backed up Patrick Waugh on the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Antti Niemi? Over the
That he's
Blackhawks?
up there. He is up there.
Antti Niemi stole someone's job and won a cup.
Who was
in
the goalie
same
that year?
Cristobal Huet.
Oh,
The
France-
best goalie in French
Francis-
history.
Wow.
Yeah. He's still... I was watching, like, France played in some game last year, and I'm pretty sure he was still the goalie.
And I'm not
I was
shocked
like,
that you.
what?
And you were probably watching it at 2 a.m.
Yeah, well, you got to stay up. Anytime you can see Lithuania take on France, you got to do it.
I'm looking
Anytime you can see
at a Reddit thread, and the majority upvoted Antti Niemi for
As the worst starting goalie
to ever win.
Is that
the
on
Stanley
ours
Cup.
or is that just on NHL?
No, I just googled it.
Oh,
It's on
okay.
that
Okay,
Reddit.
2010 Stanley Cup Final. Do you remember the goalie duel? The starter for both teams?
So it'd be Niemi Thomas, right?
No.
No, it was no. You're thinking of 2015 Blackhawks Bruins. This was Blackhawks Flyers.
You're gonna,
Would that have
you're
been
gonna
Bobrovsky?
freak. No.
Was not Bobrovsky. The Flyers would have killed.
Was it
Bobrovsky.
the other crazy Russian goalie?
It was not Ilya Bryzgalov.
Brian, you know who I'm talking about?
Brian Elliott.
Brian Elliott.
They
yeah.
would have killed to have Brian Elliott.
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Michael Layton. Michael Layton.
Oh.
And the, I want to say, 7th seeded Philadelphia Flyers.
With Mike Richards and Jeff Carter and
Chris Pronger.
Chris Pronger.
That was the year the Eastern Conference Final was 7-8.
Why did Pronger end up in Philly after such a great run in Anaheim? I can't remember. Was it just a contract thing?
I think so.
Man,
But
wild.
I don't remember if he signed there as a free agent. No, I think it was one of the many Joffrey Lupul for Chris Pronger trades.
Yeah, there was a few.
There was at least 2. Yeah. Michael Layton, Antti Niemi, Stanley Cup Final.
Wow. One
Can't
for
be
the
done.
ages.
Yes.
Man. Well, you know what? The reason I think that the Carolina Hurricanes, if we're going to get into that series,
Yeah.
are able to do this with what they have is because Peter Mrazek was always a good goalie. But Peter Mrazek has a bit of an attitude, according to sources. And sometimes if you are that type of player who lives with an edge, I would say Columbus is looking at that with their goaltender right now, who may or may not re-sign. I mean, didn't they suspend him earlier this year, Bobrovsky? Like, didn't he sit out a game?
yeah, they did.
Like, you know, this is a guy that they
Like
worked.
not that long ago.
No, it was a couple months ago,
was
and then
like
he had
February.
that. And then he had that Instagram after he got suspended with him and his feet up on his desk.
Yep.
You know, I think
Which is so dumb.
I think Peter Mrazek. There's a reason Peter Mrazek was making like $4.5 million. He still might be. I think that he is a very good goalie, but I think Detroit was so poorly run, and frankly, I don't understand the Blashill thing, and we can get into that later. They're last in almost like every metric, or second to last. I don't know how he's resigned. But I think that Detroit was so poorly managed in the last 5 years, and Red Wings fans, feel free to correct me, but I haven't seen it's a good thing Steve Yzerman's there because I haven't seen much of a turnaround with Ken Holland other than lucking into Zadina.
Their best players are young, which is the best thing you can say about the
Sure,
Red Wings.
but are the best players stars?
No, but
Are they going to be?
I think they're. I would say the Red Wings are sort of where the Leafs were right before they got Matthews.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But they don't have a
they
first
got
overall pick.
Matthews, which knocked it out of the park.
Sure.
But you get any other guy in the first round that year, the Leafs. Even like Pierre-Luc Dubois. Hey, that center. Could have been
player.
a great piece. It's not Austin Matthews, right?
Yeah.
So huge X factor.
Totally.
But they have guys in there, and they're about to get another really good one.
Yeah, I guess I would just say that Peter Mrazek was a very good goalie in a tough situation. That a team that was not very good on defense, that has somehow the 45,000-year-old Nick Cronwell still playing on
gosh.
half a leg. I don't know how that's happening. Mike Green, who hasn't played defense since the turn of the last decade.
That sentence was far too long.
I don't understand.
Hasn't played defense.
Period.
Rover. He's a super rover. Guy had 30 goals one year. As a defender.
That's right. And he probably had, I mean, I don't use this as a stat often, but probably had a terrible plus minus. Probably.
No, it was wicked.
Was he good on
He was
plus minus?
plus 39 one year with Washington.
Yeah, because the
09,
Caps
10.
were just a wagon. Like they were unstoppable. Like their best 5.
Till the second round.
Yeah. And then because I want to say they had Semyon Varlamov.
Oh.
And they got knocked out like first or second round.
And that's before the Holt Beast took over.
Yes.
One of the fun things about Carolina is how well they're set up for next year because they have 3 second-round picks this draft, and it's Buffalo and New York in the second round. And then they have Justin Williams coming off the books, and he makes like 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
who might agree to come back at like a team-friendly deal?
You got to think
But there's
he will.
free money.
Yeah, free money.
Yeah, they're in a good way, and they're up 2-0 in their second round series and made a trade
Yeah.
because
With New York.
you can do that.
Yeah. So
Which is weird.
Adam Fox, who we all know wasn't going to sign in Carolina, wasn't going to sign in Calgary, was going to sign with the Rangers. I don't know how Carolina managed this, but they parlayed it into a second and a third, or a conditional third, I guess. So they got a second this year and a conditional third next year for him.
And the condition is if he plays 30 games next year,
Right.
then it's a second.
He's wanted to go to the Rangers. He's the reason Calgary traded him was because he wouldn't re-sign there. The reason Carolina got him was because they thought they could entice him to stay, and he's obviously not interested. He wants to be a New York Ranger, so he can play with Kevin Shattenkirk and another guy that he wanted to play with, or another guy wanted to be in New York.
Rangers fans want Shat Deuces gone.
Really?
Shat Deuces?
Shat Deuces, that's his Twitter handle.
Why is it Shat Deuces?
Because his number's 22, and Shat Deuces is basically shit.
Yeah.
Or no, it's shits.
Wow.
Shat
Just two
Deuces.
poo emojis. That's nice.
Yeah. With an
Would
SU.
you ever like to see a move by the NHL to the European soccer movement, where it's just you sign guys and there's no draft?
Yes.
So then guys like Adam Fox can just go sign with whoever they want.
But who's gonna, like, how many people are gonna be clamoring to sign with, like, I don't know, Dallas for some reason was the first team that came to mind. even
Really?
though they're in
Dallas
second
is the
round.
team?
Yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas might have money to pay
Arizona.
this.
Look to the left. Yeah, thank you.
Well,
Look to the left.
there are soccer teams where I'm sure everybody wants to play for Real Madrid and the other teams can't get them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a total free market guy in terms of I've said this many times. It's got to be a mixed. And what it is right now is this is hard socialism essentially, right?
Yeah.
You're like, we're sharing with everybody and you're all going to fucking like it.
The Leafs make 8 times more than you, but you guys can spend the same.
Yeah. And that's fine up to a point, but I definitely think it would make things more excited if you had a cap accelerator or some sort of cap opening for teams that were going to the playoffs or teams that think they're going to the playoffs midway through the season. Like, imagine you can all spend the same amount of money, but then February 1st, you can all spend $10 million more, or you can add $10 million more.
But, like,
wow.
there are
trade
things-
deadline.
There are things in place that, like, the Leafs benefit from.
Sure.
Like, they're always
Having money.
one of one of, like, I don't know, 7 teams in on college free agents. The Leafs have benefited from a scenario like this before, where who was it? The Florida Panthers were like, Zach Hyman, welcome on board. And he said, absolutely not. Okay, well, we'll trade you the Leafs. And he went, yeah.
That's funny. It's a good retelling of history.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
You know how they do drunk history? We should do like drunk trades.
Zach Hyman, welcome to you're on the Florida Panthers now. And he said, no, I'm not on the Florida Panthers.
No, but you should be drafted by us.
No, but I'm not, though.
Oh,
so
Greg
trade
McKegg.
me.
Tap that Greg McKegg for me. This one's empty.
You made him up. You traded me for a made-up guy. And now he's in the second round.
What was the tweet I saw? It was like, when Greg McKegg's parents get mad at him, is he Gregory McKeggery? Great tweet. I think
Gregory
I don't know where we were going, but
Just the salary cap system. I
Salary-
think
yeah,
there should
man.
be some sort of,
you know what I think?
at least a luxury tax
know what'd be
like
cool?
the NBA.
How many rounds does the NBA go draft wise? 4?
2.
2. Is
Yeah,
it?
it's 2,
It's
and
not
then
3?
you barely even make it to the end of the second.
Really?
Yeah, the end of the second, guys never make it.
I don't think it should be that much, but I also feel like here's the thing: like guys, like teams will grab guys in this 6th and 7th round, and now occasionally you get your Andreas Janssen or whatever, but most of the time you're getting guys that have a very they might have one skill that makes you go, oh, maybe an ECHL guy, like maybe. I would love it if the teams had less control on those guys, because what I think can happen is it can slow the development of guys who might go over to Europe. Who they have the option to, but
have a
they
shorter
might
draft?
They might have a shorter draft, like have it go 4 rounds, and then let the guys at the bottom of the draft kind of go figure it out in Europe or whatever, or sign AHL deals or whatever. It allows you to make more money if you're one of those guys, I think, and if you are truly that good, you'll develop into something somewhere else, and then you'll get your contract eventually anyway.
It's an interesting idea. Never really thought of it that way.
I just-
don't know.
I just
I'm
think-
open to it.
I like
it forces
it
you to really nail your picks.
Yeah, because what it does is that you're now it does give you less to trade, but again, I'm also for a mid-season cap opening.
No.
Yeah, right.
6th and 7th round picks.
No!
How else are we?
What
gonna
will Montreal trade for all their bottom pairing guys?
Like I'm trying to think. Like Jonas Enroth. How else?
Exactly.
How else are the Ducks going to get Jonas Enroth?
I would love to see just less team control, not necessarily in salary, but just less team control outside of that. Like, if you truly believe in a guy, you should be able to sign him. Teams will just draft guys and they'll just be like, yeah, maybe. And then they won't invest anything in them.
I've been thinking about this lately because of all the parity that happened in the postseason.
Which we have to change now.
I don't really like it. I prefer good teams being good and winning. I was reading this thing on 538, which is this great stats blog. They did a thing about how 7 out of 10 times the better team in the NBA will win a 7-game playoff series. To reach the point where 7 out of 10 times the better team wins in an NHL game, you have to play a best out of 54.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, if you played best out of 54,
That should be the
then
playoffs.
you would get a 75% chance of the best team winning. That's how much parity and randomness there is in hockey.
So this is why, because for some reason, the analytics versus heart debate has come back into
Are we
the
really
fold.
talking about this still?
No, well,
Oh.
here's why
Not you,
I
but, like-
can't totally blame the people who like are all about the heart and everything, because it really is such a crapshoot, and so much can hinge on so and so had the sniffles, so and so just didn't have it that day,
Yeah.
so and so, you know what, he woke up in the middle of the night, had to fart. Like, the margin is so nothing that, I don't know, maybe it is a bigger factor than
But
we
would
think.
you... Because I would rather see a game where the better teams have better odds of winning games. Where you're rewarded for being good.
Where it's truly a surprise.
And the
Yeah,
upside
a bad
more
team
where
wins.
shocking.
70, it was like 78 or something % of the time, the better team wins, but that other % is for those Cinderella stories.
Can I throw something out there that is not going to be popular?
Sure.
The Columbus Blue Jackets sweeping the Tampa Bay Lightning was shocking. The Columbus Blue Jackets beating the Tampa Bay Lightning, not shocking in the least. Not shocking in the least. It's a 7-game series, just like you said. Tampa Bay won the most games, but they allowed
I mean, it's a little shocking. Come on.
Nope. The Columbus Blue Jackets were a good team. They underachieved for a while, and they also loaded up more than anyone else at the deadline. Look at Columbus on paper, and tell me how the Lightning are for sure better than them. I would pick the Lightning, I did pick the Lightning, but it's not shocking that Columbus won.
But we could have this same conversation if Columbus loses at all. What we're talking about right now is how the team wasn't good enough, they were never good enough, and then they tried and panicked and tried to add some good pieces at the deadline, but they didn't quote unquote gel. They didn't quote unquote have the heart because they're brand new to the system and they don't care about the city or whatever other narratives you want to spin. I agree with Jesse to a point. I don't know if I want all of my top seeds through. But when you're the NHL, you do want some of the top seeds through.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Some
You're
is a good
hurting your
thing.
game when the good teams don't win.
No,
I
but the
think.
ratings went up.
Whose ratings went up?
Yeah.
So people said. Apparently the NHL ratings went up.
Oh.
Where?
For the first round, maybe that would be the Leafs in Game 7 would help that.
Well, I wonder if 7 games of Toronto in Canada could do that.
Yeah, I think American ratings did well. Canadian ratings, I don't even want to know.
Well,
I don't even want to know.
Canadian ratings in the first round would have been just fine.
Yeah.
It's now it's a problem. Now it's a big problem. And then that's the risk you take when you invest in sports rights like that. In Canada, like if you're ESPN, you can't run. I don't think you can run Sportsnet or TSN the same way you run ESPN, because ESPN is all of the teams are American. Except for that cute little team up north, the Raptors, that cute little team up there, the Blue Jays.
The Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, with 2 T's.
And the Toronto Raptors.
And when the MLB network came up here and actually broadcasted games, they said there was an ocean outside of Toronto. That's Lake Ontario. But, like they don't know anything about, like the guys don't know anything about Toronto. That's fine. That's just the way it is.
That reminds me of when I hit that home run to bring the World Series back home to Toronto.
Thank you, Joe Carter. When you're running a sports network in Canada, I don't think you can want to dominate one particular sport sometimes the way that's like say Sportsnet has hockey. And it's great for Sportsnet throughout the season because they get all the national games, which is exciting. You get a ton of money, you get some regional, but you don't care as much about the regional games. You can't make as much money because the national clients like GMC and whatever, they're the ones that are paying the big bucks. The problem is that you bet big and sometimes you lose big because there's only 7 Canadian teams?
Yes.
So what are your real chances given what you know now? Even if the Canadian teams were the 1 through 7 were the top 7 teams and all American teams were 23 through 30. What are the chances that even half of them get through to the second round?
Hockey's such a random sport.
It's such a random sport.
And there's so much parity.
You've got to mix in the games. You've got to mix them between networks and stuff. That's what you just got to do that.
It was weird that Tampa and Calgary combined for 1 win.
It's nuts.
That was weird. But,
Yeah.
like, the fact that, I don't know, there was no series where I was like, bah. And I know I said it 1,000 times that, wow, it's shocking. It was shocking how bad Tampa played. But, like, really, when I look at it, I don't know, I'd believe it.
Yeah, but is that because you know the sport? Because you know how random the sport is and how
Yeah.
much parity there is, that you're not shocked by it.
Right.
I think that's why, because you're at a different level of understanding of the game. So when you see this, you're not as shocked. But on paper, it looks shocking until you dive into the deeper numbers where you see, hockey. This is what hockey lends to.
Yeah.
I just feel like most hockey fans, like when I saw people talking about that series, were convincing themselves everything's got to be the biggest thing ever.
Sure.
And I'm just like going through history, absolutely not.
Yeah, but on paper, a team that sets the all-time wins record for wins in a season, losing in the first round and not winning a single game, should be shocking.
Colorado beating Calgary is way more surprising than Columbus beating Tampa.
That's weird. I
No,
don't
it's
think.
not.
That's a nuanced take, but you got to remember
Yes.
how the average fan sees it,
Yes.
right? And in all honesty,
First place team plays wild card team.
that's how the average fan sees it.
I don't know, maybe.
And I
Maybe.
guess, like, it's good for the game that McKinnon's through. It's good for the game that Marchand and Bergeron are through.
Boo.
Yeah, but it's good for Southern hockey that Sagan and Ben are through. Like those are the stars regionally that it matters that they're through. But it's bad that guys like Crosby and Malkin are not through. You want to have, like, from a purely sports business perspective, you're winning and losing as a business on your stars being in.
I'm
and
an
that's where,
optimist.
when I'm with Jesse, is that the teams that tend to be the best, like Golden State, are the ones that are loaded with stars. And Golden State was a nothing player. Nothing player.
I never
and then
heard
all
of
of a
them
sudden,
until a few years ago. Really?
and then all of a sudden they got this guy, Steph Curry, in like, what, 7th overall or something like
Yeah.
that? And then it just changed.
I'm an optimist. So like what we always talk about we were talking about it with the Women's World Championships recently. This often comes up with the World Juniors. When someone who never wins all of a sudden comes in and wins, gets a little upset, it's good for the sport because it helps it spread. So, who knows? Maybe the ratings suck this year or whatever. But maybe it's better for the sport long term that all these teams are in there at once. And it's not like they're non-markets, right? Like Colorado's huge. Mm-hmm. I think Dallas is bigger than we give it credit for. I don't know.
Just getting news right now from Kevin McGran of the Star that he's hearing the Leafs and Marlies are adding a Russian on Wednesday. Who? Can't say for sure. The Russian is apparently already here. Could be right winger Korshkov. And he says he fits the bill of the big guy that Mike Babcock wants from Game 7. We'll talk about Steve's note to Mike Babcock at sportsnet.ca.
No one reacted to.
I haven't read it at all. Is it?
Also, hang on. Let me finish the news. Could be Ilya Mikhailiev, a free agent leaning towards either Toronto or Vegas. Russians love Vegas. 23 goals for Avangard. Omsk, obviously.
Yes. Love Avangard.
Kevin, I think he's cheeky when he says this. He's like, he fits somewhere between Panarin and Lindholm, as in Par Lindholm, in the UFA scale. Okay.
That's funny.
So
McGran's a funny guy.
They're both
Yeah.
big. Korshkov is 6'4". Mikhailiev is 6'2".
Are these defensemen?
These are forwards.
I don't know about Korshkov, but
Wait.
Mikhailov is a right winger.
Korshkov is also a right winger.
Oh, yes.
They're both
okay.
right wingers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Korshkov was, I think he was an overage guy the Leafs drafted in 2016 in the second round instead of Alex DeBrincat. But don't hold that against him. He's going to be compared to him forever, and I feel like most other second rounders picked ahead of DeBrincat don't have to.
Yeah, there was
wear
also
that
rounds
crown.
3 through 7 where. No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Each team passed on him once.
Yeah, there you go.
Mikhailov, the difference with him is he's 24. So he's like he's a developed package,
He is what he is.
basically. Yes. Basically is what he is. I'm sure he'll develop a bit. Also, he comes from Avangard Omsk, a team with an eagle as a logo, and when they score a goal, it's an eagle, which I think is a novel idea. Also, they have a woman goal announcer, which more teams need to adopt.
Interesting.
Sometimes I miss doing KHL highlights.
I'm sort of surprised that that Americans would allow a Russian team to take the eagle.
Right?
Like, come on.
That should be the Washington Capitals goal logo.
For sure.
Goal logo? Goal logo. It
Just
should be
logo.
their goal logo.
Just logo.
Or audio logo. No,
Yeah.
actually, theirs is good. The siren.
You wrote a thing for Sportsnet.ca,
Yep.
and it has to do with Mike Babcock, and it says an open letter from Steve Dangle to Mike Babcock.
For everyone who's like, why do you write about the Leafs? Why do you always write about the Leafs? Well, the Leafs are out, and I wrote about them yesterday, and it was the number one item on the website by a 4-1 margin. Does that clear everything up?
So what you're saying to me
good.
is you're tipping the
Now
odds in
we
your
never
favor.
have to have that conversation ever again. Good. All right. Cool. Thanks. Yes, Adam?
So you're tipping the odds in your favor then?
What do you mean?
Well, you're writing about the Leafs.
Oh, yeah.
Easily
of
the most
course.
popular team in the country.
Yep.
So you don't even really have to be good at this point.
No. It's true.
I'm kidding. That's a joke.
I can be... No, I was going to take a shot at Ozhiganov.
Can
That's not fair. He's about to get sent down to the Marlies.
So it's a memo, Jesse, and I just want to read the first little bit. Because we're going to go through this.
I've heard none of this, so I'm excited.
I could just read it.
I have it right here, but I'm gonna.
No.
I want you to talk. I'm gonna read it. I want you to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
To Mike Babcock, head coach, Toronto Maple Leafs, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Toronto, Ontario. From Steve Dangle, hockey YouTuber, podcaster, author.
Oh.
Okay. I did not write the letterhead. That was the editor. I did not write the letterhead.
Steve.
Did you put it in the mail? Did you put a stamp on it and actually mail it to him?
I did. And he's just going to mail me back a fist that comes out of the envelope and punches me in the face.
Steve works apparently for Leafs Nation, not to be confused with the Leafs Nation, or Leafs Nation Network, a division of MLSE.
Yes.
For the fans.
You work for. You're the man of the people from Oshawa, Ontario.
Is that what it says?
No.
Just Oshawa, Ontario. Yes,
No,
it does
it
actually.
says
Yeah.
Oshawa, Ontario?
It's like a memo. It's like a
I didn't write the letterhead. I wrote the letter.
This is already awesome.
Now, do you actually? Now that we're here, do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it and then react? Do you want to react
No,
to
I
it?
want Adam to read it.
You want me to read
I
it?
want Adam to read it.
Okay, I want you to read my
Because
words
I
poorly.
think what's interesting is if I get to read it and then you get to talk about why you wrote it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
If we don't like it after the first paragraph, we can always switch it around.
And you just look up at me whenever you want me to talk or whatever.
Are we doing the whole thing?
First off, yes, April 29th, 2019. Steve starts off like he knows Mike Babcock, by the way. Dear Babs. Whoa, that's familiar. I don't even think Kyle Dubas gets to call him Babs.
What do you think he calls him?
Mike.
No, he calls him Mr. Babcock.
Mr. Cock. Mr. Babcock.
I don't think
See, I was like, oh, you can call him no. But then you just went there.
No.
Dear Babs. Since the Maple Leafs were knocked out in the first round, quotes again, because of Boston again, I've had some time to do some reading. The first book on my list was Leave No Doubt, a credo for chasing your dreams. Steve, did you really read the book?
No.
You wrote it.
I'm pretty sure I have it, though. Yes, yeah, Babs wrote it. Mr.
Good for the book report.
Babcock.
The Leafs' Game 7 loss to Boston, I'm referring to the most recent one, just to be clear, has left me with nothing. Nothing but doubt. So again, to put that into context, the first book that Steve read, Leave No Doubt, a credo for chasing your dreams. But just to be clear, Game 7 loss to Boston has left Steve with nothing but doubt.
Yeah, I got a text last night like, you did not use Babs' own book against him. Author on author just savagery.
I kind of actually liked it. You know what? I hope that he writes an open letter to you if they ever win the cup with him as Dear Steve.
Dear nameless schmuck.
Team's ruining your life, got you a cup, though.
Yep.
That's got to be Mike's response. Many in the frothing horde of Leafs Nation, my screaming self included, are wondering if you should return to coach the team.
Wow.
Hot fire here.
Well,
that's about as gently as I can put it. Hang on. I made a 33-minute video about Game 7 and somehow managed to do it without a single swear word. Steven.
Listen, I'm cutting away all pretense. This isn't me going, Babs, you should be fired. It's me just addressing the elephant in the room right away. Listen, some folks are talking about whether or not you should have a job still.
Since the Leafs were eliminated, I've been able to have a few sleeps. And while it hasn't healed the pain, it has allowed me to reflect. The day you arrived in Toronto was probably the most surprising thing that's happened to the Leafs in decades. When Brendan Shanahan joined the team, he was leaving his job as one of the many people to have suspended Nazem Kadri. He was a cool name then and has done a great job since, but at the time he was unproven as a team executive. When Kyle Dubas joined the Leafs in 2014, that was neat too. But again, while he looked promising at the time, he still had yet to prove himself. Then you got on that plane. And as I remember, I think it was Jeff Fayette that broke that.
Yes, it was. Because he just, was looking at planes taking off like we all do.
From the Orangeville airport.
And he had the break.
It was amazing.
He had the break.
That's a hell of a break.
Yep.
Many have pointed out how handsomely you're paid to coach the Leafs. The truth is, that was the acquisition cost at the time. True. You were a coach with a successful track record in great demand. I believe that's supposed to say track record, but it just says track.
Oh, good.
That's okay. Doesn't matter. Everybody knows what you mean. Of course, it took a lot of money back then to convince someone with your resume to lead the Leafs. Remember that team? You actually let Frankie Corrado play that season.
So the first person who replied to that I saw...
Jeff?
Frank Corrado.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wait.
What?
Frank Corrado saw the article and he said, that stings.
Like in a tweet?
Yeah. He tweeted me yesterday.
What?
He did
Really?
The Frank Corrado.
The Frank Corrado, who's in the Leafs organization, by the way. He's on the Marlies. He's just...
Yeah, he was rehabbing a knee injury when he signed, wasn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, he hasn't played a ton. Poor guy can't stay healthy. But, yeah.
Low blow in there, Steve.
Oh! Especially when we were squarely on the free Frank Corrado band. Although, to be fair...
No, I think he's in on it.
Of course he's in on it.
It's a joke.
Also, I think Frankie knows he didn't play that much.
Yeah.
Because he didn't.
And he knows, I got to play because they were ass.
Yeah. Did he really play that much?
He played 38 games.
Oh, that's a lot.
He also got suspended that year. He
For what?
blocked someone on
Dude, that year,
On, like, the Canucks.
it's a blur. I can't even believe we got through that year.
Year really is a fever dream.
It really is.
I don't remember.
What the hell did we talk about? William Nylander and the Marlies? What was it?
We get Colin Greening off this team because he's playing too well.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh my God. You actually let Frankie Corrado play that season. Any coach with a Stanley Cup ring and multiple Olympic gold medals willing to coach the 2015-16 Leafs should be a millionaire. The team stunk, but miraculously, you made them watchable. And let's not forget your little speech after winning the World Cup of Hockey. You said it was a sign of things to come in Toronto. It turns out that all you need to beat Zdeno Chara in a best-on-best tournament is Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand. Ha! I wondered if some of the swagger
salty.
back then was due to the fact that the Leafs had just drafted Austin Matthews first overall. The Leafs made the 2017 playoffs, and were faced with a seemingly impossible task of beating the President's Trophy Washington Capitals. 5 overtimes and 6 games later, the Leafs were defeated, but man, did they prove they could hang. The 2018 Leafs easily qualified for the playoffs, then ran into the Boston Bruins. It was an up-and-down series. Your team fought back from a 3-1 series deficit to force Game 7, only to send me back to my therapist once again. Still, it was another hard-fought series against a great team, and the Maple Leafs took strides, right? Surely the next year things would be different. And now here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is called tenderizing your meat before you grill it.
The Leafs have just finished playing and losing to Boston again, John Tavares and all. You can argue the Leafs were a better team this time through 7 games, which you certainly couldn't argue. You could argue the Leafs were the better team this time around through 7 games, which you certainly couldn't argue a year ago. Still, the Leafs got their lunch handed to them again. Yes, Jake Gardner was playing hurt. Yes, William Nylander had a rough season. Yes, Nazem Kadri was suspended because it's a year that starts with a 2. Matthews, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley, all all-stars in this league. The team added Jake Muzzin and John Tavares, and they still lost. At your end of the season press conference, you referenced pain, just like you did when you joined the team in 2015. But this loss doesn't feel like another part of the process, and it definitely didn't feel like progress. Which brings us to the awkward part. The question I can't help but ask is, has this team gone as far as it can with you?
Oh, yeah. I went there, bud.
I know, right? How unfair is that? After all, you came in, took a young team, and showed them how to become great players. The fabled blue and white disease has been eradicated. I'm glad you gave him credit for that, by the way, because he absolutely deserves it. Him and Lou.
100%. This was the thing. A lot of the criticism was like this was just a me taking Babs to the woodshed thing. Like, so many people are screaming, fire Mike Babcock. This is me evaluating honestly, and I guess we'll get to more of these points. Okay, what are the arguments for and against? What the conclusion I came to, I don't know if I outright say it in the article, is no, they should not, but he's on the frickin' clock.
Your Maple Leafs followed up a last-place finish in year 1 with 3 straight playoff appearances. So have we become hungry fans who got fed and are now critiquing the cooking?
From that's a
Chris
line
Johnston
from CJ last episode.
Well, the life of an NHL coach isn't fair. Look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Twice now they've had a coach dedicate themselves to the team only to get fired midway through a season in which they won the Stanley Cup, and people look back on those coaches as one piece that was holding the team back from success. Is that fair? Of course not. But maybe their purpose was to get the team 75% of the way there, only to pass the baton on to someone else for the final lap of glory. And the question I have now is, are you that person?
I know it's super unfair, but I'm giving guys like that is, it's not a veiled shot. It's actually praise of Michel Therrien from when he was with the Penguins.
And Mike
took him to
Johnston?
the Stanley Cup final. They lost. Then he got fired halfway through the next season, and they won the Cup. And then who was it? It was
Mike Johnston?
Mike Johnston or something like that.
Never heard from him again.
Never heard from him again, but he got fired halfway through that season, and the Penguins ended up winning a cup with Mike Sullivan 2 years in a row. But I don't know, were Therrien and Johnson just crap? I mean, surely they contributed something. All coaches contribute something. It's sort of like the coaching version of Dale Talon with the Blackhawks. He got fired from this team that he essentially built, and then the next year, they won the Stanley Cup.
Well, who was the guy in Vancouver before Berkey?
Before Brian Burke?
Sorry, not Berkey. Anaheim. Brian Murray. Murray in Anaheim.
I think so.
Brian Murray built a lot of what the Ducks were.
Was it Brian Murray or there's another Murray? There's several Murrays.
Might be because there's a Bob Murray,
Might
but
have
I
been
believe
Bob.
it was Brian, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, Mr. Murray built the Anaheim Ducks, and Brian Burke took them the rest of the way, orchestrated the Pronger trade, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
It went Brian Murray from 2002 to 2004, and then Al Coates, interim, and then Brian Burke,
Yeah.
and then Bob Murray.
And now the 2002 to 2004 is where I think they got like Getzlaf and Perry and those guys, isn't it?
Perry and Getzlaf, I think, were the same draft in 03.
Jesus.
Yeah, there you go.
Not bad.
good draft.
Oh, the 03 draft is insane. It's
Mike Sullivan, when he was a player, where was he drafted?
probably the Leafs.
Nah,
No
North Stars.
position,
Oh,
like in the draft.
Mike Sullivan?
top 10.
7th round.
69th overall.
Hey,
That's pretty nice. So I pick it up from the question I have now is, are you that person? As in, are you that person to take them the rest of the way, the last 25%? The team goes out and gets Jake Muzzin. You immediately talk about how he's not right-handed, which is true, he did. The team is banged up, and you talk about its lack of depth. I know you later said the comment was meant to be a compliment about the Nashville Predators, but to me, it was pointed. You play Austin Matthews less than 19 minutes in Game 7, in which you never had the lead, and you were never in the penalty box. And what's it going to take to sit Patrick Marleau? Would putting a Medano jersey on him help? I'm sorry, I'm mad, okay? Now, question, that you said that in the podcast. That's a deep reference. Talk about that.
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, let me just say that was unnecessary, and I just wanted to be mean with that one sentence. Second of all, so Mike Medano makes a huge mistake, and I think a lot of people, including himself, would
Leaving
agree.
Dallas?
Yeah, so he was with the Minnesota North Stars. They moved to Dallas. He played with the Dallas Stars. He played with them his entire career. There's a weird stat I looked up a few years ago, and it's obviously changed over the years, but who are the top scorers in NHL history to play their entire career with one team? And I think the answer is Steve Yzerman.
That makes sense.
It was Steve Yzerman and Mario Lemieux a second, and Mike Modano, I think, was quickly climbing that list. And then he plays 1 year in Detroit.
Yeah.
And it's not a very good year. And I think he was mostly in a depth role. He didn't play a whole lot. He's sitting on 1,499 games. One game shy of 1,500. A milestone that, 8 players have ever achieved?
Yeah.
Something like that? Babcock sits him in the final game of the season.
Why did he do that?
I don't know, but Mike Commodore, I'm pretty sure, was on that team. And I have a feeling it was just a few old guys frigging hated Bab's life.
That was after Lidstrom had left, right?
I don't
2011,
remember.
2010, 2011?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Can we look that
No,
up?
let's...
When did he
I
play
don't know.
till?
I don't remember.
Because you
I
got to
think he
think if
was
he's
still
the
there.
captain, he probably should have stepped in and been like, no.
Any coach with any kind of sense. What happened to Ty goes to the veteran?
Yeah.
Was that instituted after?
I bet you if you were to put some truth serum into Mike Babcock, as people say, he probably regrets that.
Lidstrom was there.
Lidstrom was there.
This was at the end of the 2011 season, and Lidstrom was there till 2012.
I think he regrets that.
Now,
there's no
so
way you can feel good about
Babcock is the bad guy, 100% there. But I think what we might be leaving out, so there's the whole leadership core in there. Lidstrom was in there. He could have said something. Is Mike that oblivious? Sorry, is Babcock that oblivious? Or was Modano a bit of a git? Because I want to say it's entirely possible that maybe maybe the whole year he was like, what the hell did I do? Why am I here? I hate this team. I hate this situation.
Should have requested a trade back to Dallas. I'm sure they would have done it for a conditional 7th.
Maybe.
Like,
What?
I'm just trying to...
I had no idea that story happened.
Yeah,
it sucks. I'm looking at
that
his
sucks.
Hockey DB page and it says 14.99. I'm like, that's so shitty.
It's so upsetting.
To know
Can
that
you
he
look
sat
up-
his last game.
Can you look up how many players have ever played 1,500 games?
Sure, I'll tell you in half a second.
It's the most annoying thing ever. And, I know guys... I mean, Mike Modano can say he's a Stanley Cup champion. That's at the top of his letterhead there.
Mm-hmm.
But, you go through your achievements, they want to be able to say, I played 1,500 games. 1,000 is something that not many achieve, but I think we're up to close to 350 now.
It's 20 guys.
That's elite, man.
Yeah,
It's hard. It is hard even as there are Hockey Hall of Famers who only played 900 games because
That's
just
all they
couldn't
got.
do it.
Every-
Peter Forsberg couldn't do it. Lindros couldn't do it. Pavel Bure couldn't do it. Guys get hurt.
Every guy on the list is the Hockey Hall of Famer. Except maybe Shane Doan, maybe not. But there you go.
It's tough.
Matt Cullen. No.
That's
He broke that list, but
yeah, Matt Cullen's a fun one. But
he's probably the only one that's not a Hall of Famer.
yeah, but he's got his cups. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just had to throw that one little dagger that was unnecessary but necessary. It wasn't nice. I think everything I said in there was fair except for maybe that.
Well, is it unfair? Anyway.
Well, what does it have to do with the Leafs? It's just an insult to Mike Babcock. That's all. I feel like he could have read that whole thing up to that point and been like, well, he's fair, and then gotten to that and been like, fucking asshole.
What's it going to take to sit Patrick Marleau? Would putting him in a Modano jersey help? I'm sorry, I'm mad, okay? I know Kyle Dubas...
And for the record, I don't think they should interrupt Marlowe's streak to healthy scratch him. I think that would be received extremely poorly in the Leafs room. It's merely me pointing out, well, you've done it before. So what's the big deal this time?
I think...
Which makes me wonder if Modano was maybe a little bit to blame, but I have no idea.
I think Patrick Marleau is just fine as a fourth-line right winger. Just not at that money.
Or something like that.
He's definitely an NHL player still.
Yeah.
Yeah, for $4 million less.
Yeah. Maybe even less than that.
5.
He got like 35 points or something.
Yeah.
I know it's not nothing. It's not
Yeah, well,
6
when
and a
you're
half,
playing top power play
whatever.
units,
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know. I know Kyle Dubas is young and adorable. Back to the article here. He looks like you'd find him at a family reunion with Jimmy Neutron and Kyle Bukauskas. I like that. But he's also the guy in charge. In the past few days, I've heard a lot of you referring to Leafs management group as we. You're the head coach and a good one with a great track record. And yes, you should definitely be consulted on personnel decisions. But at the end of the day, Kyle's your boss. Sometimes I wonder if you forget that. You said it yourself, that you know what your relationship is with him behind closed doors. So it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You're absolutely right. But sometimes when you talk like a guy who has all the answers for success, and I love this line, sometimes when you talk like a guy who has all the answers for success, you get the most questions in defeat. Where did you get that? Did you write that?
My own head. Yeah.
That's a great quote, my friend. I'm not kidding. That's great.
I think they edited it though. I said in failure. they changed it to defeat.
Okay. Well, it's a failure anyway.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for all you've done with this team that used to stink. But at the end of the day, I want the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup. And it's clear to me now, and I suspect to your boss too, that in order for that to happen with you behind the bench, it's going to require some change, including on your part. So now, no matter what your name is, you can choose to be a part of the change or a casualty of it. It's no longer 2008. You have a chance to win a Stanley Cup with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before they hired you, I couldn't even picture that, but now I can. But again, some change is needed if you're going to stay in that picture. And just picture it. How great will it feel? How will it enhance your legacy? And how will it shut a lot of people like me up forever? So as you're fond of saying, how's that? So you do it.
How's that?
Nah.
Humbly yours, some blogger you can choose to ignore, Steve. 355 comments, by the way.
Oh, and how many of them are goatee sunglasses?
Not gonna read them.
Oh,
Doesn't
here's
matter.
goatee
Don't
sunglasses guy. Here's goatee sunglasses guy. Here's goatee sunglasses guy on an ATV. Here's goatee sunglasses guy. Here's what? What? No offense, any goatee sunglasses guys who listen to the show.
By the way, if you're a goatee sunglasses guy who drives an ATV and you listen to the show and don't put hateful comments in this comment section, please tweet us right now.
Like I'm sure
I would
there's
like to
plenty
know
of nice guys.
where is the goatee sunglass guy, Oakley sunglasses specifically, in the Dangle Navy? Where are you at?
No, I saw there were a bunch of comments to like the Sportsnet Twitter post about it. Now, I hate Steve Dangle. I look at the picture. I'm like, I knew you did before I read it. Like, I don't care. Sorry. What? What?
It's funny that
Don't
Steve
go
lives.
after
Oh,
the
my
comments.
mentions from Lethbridge Spike.
Steve lives in the ATV goatee sunglasses capital of Ontario, by the way.
I know!
Which is so funny.
Okay, no, I don't. No, I don't. Adam doesn't spend any time in Oshawa.
No,
I
it's
live
really-
in the former
yeah.
goatee and ATV
It's
capital.
Hamilton now.
No one can afford ATVs anymore because GM friggin' frigged off.
Yeah, it's true.
Steve,
Bunch of
anywhere
bastards.
east of the beaches is basically the boonies.
Okay. Well, first of all,
That I grew up in
you're
the
calling
boonies.
where we grew up the boonies, which Adam will tell you it is, but I will tell you it's not.
I'm kidding.
How dare you?
It's pretty boring. Where we grew up was boring, dude. Come on.
It was a little.
It was pretty boring. Like, even Oshawa's got stuff going on. That part of Scarborough is just a few streets and a grocery store, honestly.
The island.
The island. Yeah, it
called
is.
the
It's just like a little island of just houses. There's nothing going on. But
There's an Italian place now. There was always the Black Dog Pub.
2 restaurants in like 4 square kilometers.
So what do you think of Steve's letter?
I thought it was pointed, and I thought it represented a lot of how Maple Leafs feel, like Maple Leafs fans feel, that is. And I bet you some of the players feel that way too.
Well,
And I think-
we already know one of them read it.
What's pointed about what Steve wrote, and I'm going to talk about you as if you're not here, is that there's nothing in there that you can point to and go, that's objectively wrong. And the key thing in this offseason, and I think Steve hit on it, is Mike Babcock is going to have to agree to change. And when we say Mike Babcock is on the clock, and I think we said that before the Boston series, if they don't win, he's going to be on the clock. Like you brought that question up, Jesse, in like March.
Yeah. That's a fun hypothetical.
And then Chris Johnson sat in that spot where you were sitting right now, which you lovingly gave up for him last episode, and said the same
And
thing.
we all saw your messy desktop.
Hey, I clean it up every night.
He's on the.
That was one day's worth of...
Yeah, I have a lot of files.
Yeah, Jesse is like Pigpen. He just walks around with files, just chasing him around, just like floating in his orbit.
I got a rock.
Chris Johnson said it. Babs on the clock. Unofficially on the clock. And let me tell you this. I had some time to think about it too. What are the actual chances, given how driven, forget Kyle Dubas, given how driven Brendan Shanahan is? Brendan Shanahan is the consummate professional, seems to be a great manager, extremely demanding, expects the highest of the high. If Brendan Shanahan believes, and we don't know what he believes, if Brendan Shanahan believes, and based on the evidence he should believe, that there's a problem with deployment and coaching and how Mike's philosophy, what are the chances that Mike Babcock is still the coach by December if we don't see some changes? And I mean that. If Mike Babcock starts the first 3 months of the season playing the same way that they played, there's a really good chance by Christmas we see a change. And that's
the scary thing. By Christmas this past season, they were a top 5 team.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
but that isn't good enough.
The Leafs could have the.
That's not
What
good
is
enough
good
anymore.
enough? First?
Yes.
The only thing
Isn't that the goal?
Of course it is, but I don't know. Ask Tampa. It's got to be about
It's
progress.
It's not about
right?
just winning in the regular season, though.
process
As you
and
said,
progress.
Jesse, it doesn't, like, the regular season doesn't matter. What are they going to do come playoff time? And if they continue to get pushback from him on that, and they'll know. Like, with somebody, if they're going to, they know, when you're dealing with somebody and you're working with somebody, and if you're a manager in any sense, which none of us have ever been, if you are managing people, you know how your employees are going to react. And if you need them to act a certain way and they're not, and you know that's never going to change, then what choice do you give them?
I'm sick of getting 3 months deep into the season, having the same conversation. Well, they won, but they can't win games like this in April.
But this can't be a result. That can't be the result anymore.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That cannot be the result. Now, DJ Smith apparently is going to go coach the Senators, which is awesome. I hope he does I hope he takes care of their penalty kill. Super jacked about that.
I mean, he won the Memorial Cup.
A couple free wins.
He won the Memorial Cup as the head coach of the Jennies.
Cool.
Like, I think some guys, there's a couple important things to point out here. I think some guys are great head coaches and maybe stink as assistants. Other guys are able to come in and be successful at both. Some guys are great assistants and they stink as head coaches.
Which can totally be a thing.
100%.
Yeah.
One thing pointed out by Mike Stevens, which is a fantastic point, Sheldon Keefe has been a wonderful head coach with the Sioux Greyhounds and with the Toronto Marlies. The Marlies, like, special teams, aren't that great. And if he were to come in, that would fall in his plate.
Sheldon Keefe is not the special teams coach for the Marlies.
Right, no, but what I'm saying is if he were to come in with the Leafs and essentially replace DJ Smith, there's evidence to say that wouldn't look very good.
Well, here's where I disagree. Would you compare the Marlies of this year to what the Leafs, like the Marlies of this year to the AHL, to the Leafs of this year to the NHL? Meaning that I don't think the Marlies have anywhere near the talent at the AHL level that the Leafs do at the NHL level. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like a per capita, right? Like I'm not
by AHL standards.
By AHL standards.
And right now they're loaded up pretty nice, but man, in the dog days of the season, the Marlies had nobody and no friggin' goaltending.
And I think that's the thing.
It was a two-man show.
I'd love to see and I wish DJ Smith the best, but it's clear it's time to move on.
Yeah. And I think he might be a good head coach somewhere. His role with the Leafs is no good.
And Chris Johnson sat in this room and said he's a good guy, and that's great. But
sounds like the players
I think if DJ Smith were sitting here and we question him, he would probably say the results were not what we wanted.
I also wonder, because there was that players poll, everyone loved DJ Smith, and Chris coming in saying, oh, DJ Smith, good guy. I wonder if he was the local good cop.
That's a good
The
question.
resident good cop.
You need that.
So who's going to come in and what are they going to be, a hard ass? I don't know.
Whatever it is, it's probably got to be better than whatever it was.
Because one thing I think guys covering the Marlies would probably tell you is don't expect Sheldon Keefe to be the good cop.
No, definitely not.
He's not really the hey, don't worry, we'll get him next time sort of guy.
Does this team need that, though?
No.
Haven't we heard enough of don't worry, we'll get him next time? I'm sure the players have. You think the players want to hear that? At this point? I think they're probably like, no. F that. Let's just get it done. I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a swagger thing or anything. Dude, their penalty kill is marginally better, and their power play is marginally better. They beat the Bruins in 6. Forget none of the 7 shit. They beat the Bruins in 6.
So I just think the Leafs...
Why is each Bruins Game 7 loss more haunting than the last?
Because they're getting closer. Because
to winning one friggin' series?
yeah.
I'm sick of this!
I have a follow-up question.
Hang on, just 1 second.
yeah,
But
after
what
you're
I think is what you did, and we'll get right to it, Jesse. Sorry.
No, dude.
Just to wrap up this point, I think you hit on something. Mike has to change.
Yes.
And my point
Which
is,
I think is
if
more than
Mike
fair.
doesn't change, which I think is too much to ask, to be quite frank, I don't know. I haven't. Ask Detroit Red Wing fans what they felt like, because there was a Detroit Red Wing guy who tweeted something along the lines of, "I've seen this movie before." And
Right, yeah.
he was like, it was like he was double shifting Patrick Eaves in the playoffs, and Datsuk was sitting on the bench, like in 2011 or 2012.
Glenn Denning.
Yeah, like it's this is what this man does, and that's fine. But I don't know that that's going to work for this team, and I feel like if they continue to win games, but the deployment and the fundamentals stay the same, the Leafs cannot go forward with this guy as head coach. If he refuses to change, then they have to make the change. He has forced the change on them. If they go into next year and the same thing happens, even if they get to the second round, even if that cannot be the goal.
You know, Babcock said something funny that every time I heard it bugged me.
And Jesse, by the way, hold your point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
He said something that bugged me in his season end press conference. People kept talking about how, well, he didn't take ownership. They asked him about Matthews' ice time. He's like, well, I think he was up around 20 minutes these playoffs, and he was acting all aloof, and like, well, I don't actually know how much he played. But for some reason, he goes, probably too much for the regular season. And I was just like, what the fuck? What did you say that for? Like, was that just
That's him holding fast. That's him being stubborn.
Was that a whimsical aside, or was that what was that?
That was exactly what you think it is.
What?
That is him going, I'm
a
not
little bit-
changing. I am not changing.
Yeah, I'm
I
a little
believe
bit
in
confused
this.
Is what I think it was, but I think it was that.
I am not changing. I believe in this, just so you know.
Like 19, a shade under 19 minutes in a game where the Leafs never took a penalty. It's not,
laughable.
The
it's
funniest
not
thing about
excusable.
this is that you're not over the
I'm not over it.
How could you be over it
The
by now?
third period.
but
The
it's so
third
funny.
period. Matthews,
Tavares.
Tavares, Freddie Gauthier centering the third line. If you don't trust Marlowe, I don't give a shit. And by the way, in my scenario, I have Willie on Matthews' wing. And guess what?
I put Marlowe at center.
Yeah, well,
Put him with
If you
Moore
trust
and-
him so much, put him at center for a couple shifts. I don't give a shit. And guess what? Guess who's going out next shift? Matthews. Guess who's going out next shift? Tavares. And guess who's going out next shift? Matthews. And guess who's going out next shift? Tavares. And then throw out your mishmash of bullshit. Don't care. And then guess what? Matthews. And then guess what? Tavares. Like, how is that not your there is no tomorrow Game 7 scenario? How was I reminded of Freddie Gauthier's existence in the third period of that hockey game?
third period of Game 7.
And it's not even a shot at Freddie Gauthier. It's a holy shit, you're about to pay this guy nearly $12 million a year.
Freddie Gauthier, $12 million a year player.
yeah.
I know, because
deal.
he had that improved of a season. Pascal Siakam, most improved player in the league. Bullshit. Freddie Gauthier,
True.
not even the most improved athlete in the city. Freddie Gauthier. I'm not over it.
So, Jesse, what would you like to say? Thank you for holding back. I appreciate that.
The follow-up to the Babcock should be fired discussion is, I think, this.
Whoa, that's not the discussion.
That's the discussion.
I believe the discussion is Babcock should change, and if he doesn't, then they got to look elsewhere.
Go for
Yes.
it. What were you saying?
So, Sid Sixero, the night the Leafs lose, he goes on Twitter and he says, Mike Babcock has coached his last game as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sure.
That's extreme.
Extreme hyperbole. It's
Yes.
Sid. He's doing his thing.
Yes.
Next day, Tim goes on Tim and Sid. He asks them, okay, so Babcock coached his last game, people going for his head, blah, blah, blah. You said this thing. And his follow-up question is, so point to me the improvement.
Exactly.
So that's the only thing I look at it. I think it's a great follow-up. Is like, okay, if we get rid of Mike Babcock, what's the solution that's going to be better?
I
Is
think
the solution just change for change sake? Or is it anything else? Or is it, hey, we have a distinct improvement over this guy who is clearly a world-class coach?
that to me is the issue.
Point to that,
One,
and
one
you can't
thing
really.
one thing I could have maybe taken out the Marlowe joke and pointed this out. The Leafs are really good at 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm.
The top scoring 5-on-5 team in the league. That's Babs. That's Mike Babcock, and also the roster that Kyle Dubas put together. But it's Mike Babcock.
And then you look at the development of guys from 2015 to 2019. It's like you see the improvement in Riley and Kadri and everybody who's been here.
So, and this brings me back to the point that I made. He brought on all those improvements. He helped turn these boy stars into men stars. Was that his purpose? And it's fulfilled. It's fulfilled. Thank you for your service. Here are your millions of dollars. And now we move on to the next guy who can hopefully get us over the hump. Unless you're willing to change. It's the whole... It all comes back to Babcock's willingness to change.
Mm-hmm.
A haunting scenario was given to me recently.
Happens again next year?
Possibly worse.
Oh, how could it be worse than that?
What is worse for hockey Twitter? The Leafs lose to Boston in 7 again next year? Or this scenario? Who do they keep saying is potentially going to be the next GM of the Oilers?
Ken Holland?
Ken Holland.
So Babs goes to... Are they friends?
Are they friends? Yes! They won cups together.
Well, yeah, but...
They're big fans.
Okay.
Big fans.
So you're saying Babs would leave the
He
Leafs
goes
to go
to Edmonton.
Can you imagine Babcock with McDavid?
And he plays them 16
19
minutes.
minutes.
No, 16 minutes, Adam. 16 minutes.
No, we're going to double shift Jujar Kara.
I was about to say, oh, holy shit. Chris Russell, under Mike Babcock, is going to play 30 minutes a night.
Draisaitl gets like 13 minutes.
Yeah, because,
fourth line.
Well, can he kill penalties, though?
Nope.
I don't know. No, but can you imagine, though, he gets McDavid, and they're going to win games. Like, again, I keep saying Edmonton's not far off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care
See, with
how
the Islanders,
shit
you
the
weren't
roster is.
wrong. They're garbage. You're you're wrong with this.
Nope.
What?
The Islanders, you were right last year when you were like, you know what? They're not that far off. And you're right. They got a goalie. They sorted it out. Edmonton sucks. Sorry, the Oilers are bad.
They get a
the
goalie.
Oilers are bad.
They're in the mix.
Full stop.
They get a goalie. They're in the mix because
the West is weak, and they're going to get their asses handed to them in the first round. They'll
So
make
what?
sure they can make the playoffs.
They make the playoffs.
Oh, they're going to get
and then they're
run over. Run over. They're garbage.
That's
they have
what
so
I
many
wanna-
holes up that lineup, Steve. One injury.
But
that
they
team
have
is
the best player in the world, Leon Draisaitl, and also
and that guy Connor, whatever.
and Nuge. They have. I'm telling you, get a guy who can stop the frigging puck.
They won't.
They have enough to get by.
You know why they won't get a
I
guy?
don't
Here's why they
discredit
won't.
that.
You know why? Because Mikko Koskinen makes $3.5 million for the next 4 years, or 3 years, is it? And they have no cap space. See, here's the thing: everybody talks about the Leafs' cap problems going into the season, and I grant you, they've got $8.8 million if you don't include what's his face on LTIR.
Keeping your good team together is not a cap problem.
No.
Blowing your shitty team apart is
a cap problem.
Koskinen makes 4.5, by the way.
It's so.
Are
And,
you fucking
And
kidding
for
me?
3
It's
years.
so bad.
Yeah.
Wow, I got the numbers inverted. I gave them credit. 3.5 over 4. It's $4.5 million. So here's what I want to say. Edmonton is so screwed because it's not that they couldn't win something. It's that they'll never win it.
Oh boy,
They will never
you're
win
gonna
it.
plant your flag in Connor McDavid never having success.
Oh, he'll have success, just not in Edmonton.
Oh boy.
He's leaving.
saying it.
Connor's on the
I'm
clock
saying
too.
the
Connor's on the
thing.
clock.
There is a Canadian.
He's on the clock.
There's a Canadian Civil War scenario where Babcock goes to the Oilers and has some success.
He will.
in the peak
How
of
could you
McDavid
not
and
have
Matthews'
success with
career.
the Oilers? They're the worst.
Because I'm Mike Babcock.
That's
and
like
I'm the
going to the
smartest.
Senators and going, well, I finished 20th this year. Well, you had major success. You pulled your ass out of the basement. Good for you.
So the Oilers don't make the playoffs next year.
No, they make the playoffs, sure, if they can find a goalie, which they can.
I don't know how you can
Okay.
look at the current playoffs and be like, Edmonton's never going to pull it off.
Listen, I granted you that. Find a goalie. You
Find
can
a
make the
goalie.
playoffs. They will have their asses handed to them.
So what?
Does Connor McDavid retire, or does Connor McDavid leave the Oilers, whether
Yes.
it's retirement or trade?
Yes,
or
it finishes.
free
No,
agency?
the sentence went on too long.
Does he
Yes.
leave without a Stanley Cup?
Yes.
Peter Chiarelli rode making the 2015 playoffs it wasn't
3 years.
2015 playoffs.
16.
20...
16.
Yeah.
Because
He rode
McDavid's
that
first
for
year,
3 or 4
they
years.
would have made the playoffs that first year when he was playing with the McYakpu line.
If he just kept McYakpu
Yeah,
together.
Benoit Pouliot and now Yakupov actually looked like NHLers for 42 games until he broke his, was it clavicle?
Clavicle.
No, Edmonton as they stand right now, and here's why, and it always goes back to this, it is not the players on the ice. That management group cannot make enough correct decisions in a row for there to be a scenario where they'd even be within striking distance of a cup. That is the fact. That is it. That is all.
You
I'm
can't
planting
even
my
imagine
flag.
a funsies scenario where Babcock all of a sudden...
You know why? Because even the most funsies we've ever seen in the NHL is Vegas last year, and Vegas is a far superior team last year's roster than what Edmonton is.
And they made it to the Stanley Cup final by being an inferior team with a great goalie.
Bingo. Goalie. Here's the problem again. Edmonton can't find a goalie.
It takes one off season.
What?
It takes one
It
off
takes
season.
a brain.
Look at Carolina.
It takes a brain, and they don't have one collectively.
Carolina and that paper mache, like a bird put that together. It's made of straw and sticks and shit.
Yeah, Adam,
and they're
I
in the
think
second round.
you're taking the bad odds.
No,
here.
Carolina for years were the bad odds team. They were the team that had all the great underlying numbers. If you could just sort out goaltending, they got Scott Darling. Shit, if you could just sort out goaltending, they get Peter Mrazek and Curtis McElhaney off waivers, and you go,
they did it.
Damn it, Carolina! I bet for Carolina the last 3 seasons, I have bet on the Carolina Hurricanes to make the playoffs and surprise everybody. And guess what? They finally fucking did it.
So the odds are stacked against you, and that Edmonton might actually do
But
it.
Edmonton has terrible underlying
But
numbers.
they might just do it.
Terrible.
Who cares?
In one off season, the Islanders. Here's what the Islanders did. They decided, okay, we'll keep one of the objectively worst goalies in the NHL, and also we'll sign a goalie who was awful last year
And lose our best player.
And
play in an arena that's not a hockey arena, and then play in half the arenas.
I'm leaving all that alone. I'm leaving all that stuff alone.
And then
just
have shitty jerseys.
Thomas Greiss somehow went from like an 880 goalie to a 930, and Robin Leonard went from whatever he was last year, I think a 90, I don't know, 7.
to a 999.
Essentially a 999.
Point of order. The Islanders have Lou Lamoriello.
You're absolutely right.
Sure. Edmonton has Bobby Nix.
And how's that
Edmonton
worked out? How long has he been there? 5 years?
A couple.
Listen, Adam,
Bobby Nix should
I
be
didn't
on the
mean
clock.
to get this deep. All I wanted to say
Well,
was
it's a
imagine
podcast.
a scenario where Babcock goes to Edmonton.
I would imagine it. And you know what? He would have initial success there. They will not win the cup.
That's not what I'm
They
talking about.
will not win the cup.
I'm talking about twice a year, it's war.
Dude,
twice a year,
No,
it is
but-
utter war. Utter war. And it'd be fun. I would love it.
I wish that there was a close-up camera angle of you so you could see the
Utter
face.
war.
Like
Camera's
closer. It's good.
Utter war.
So,
My throat.
if the plan is to get rid of Babcock, what's the upgrade?
I don't know.
There you go.
That's not my job.
Well, and that was CJ did a really good job last show of
Yeah.
being like, all right, so now what?
Yeah.
You're Sheldon Keefe? All right, are you sure?
That's really your
Well,
solution?
if you're any sort of good manager, truly in any management position, and you're dealing with talent, right? You have in the back of your mind somebody else who you think could do that job. If somebody were to walk on you, if they were to die, if in some weird scenario you need to replace them. Sorry, but any good manager does that. Any good manager does that. You got to have somebody in the back of your mind where you're like,
Is that what you have for me?
no, this is Steve Dangle podcast, man.
For now?
It's called, the next podcast will be called, The Oilers Will Not Make the Fucking Playoffs Again.
Ever in the history of the
Ever
franchise.
again. No, they will. It's like when Milan Lucic's contract expires, they will.
Adam, where did you work Virgin Mornings before here? Was it Calgary?
Yes, I did.
At Adam Wild. WILD. Send all vitriol to him.
Adam, are you secretly a Flames fan?
I like the Flames.
Oh, then we figured it out.
Whoa.
Flames fan.
Easy.
If I were a Flames fan, I wouldn't hate
Mr.
Edmonton.
Secret Habs fan has been a secret Flames
This
fan.
whole time you caught me.
Ah!
I carry Johnny Gaudreau's water because it's physically too heavy for him. No, I'm kidding.
What?
Because he's tiny, right? Because he's tiny.
you just-
It's just a joke. It was a bad one, but it was a joke, and I'm going to own it. But it was mine. It was mine. I own it.
So I think Babcock needs to change.
I think he needs to change. The question is, will he? The question is, will he? Now, should we talk about, I've mentioned Esa Lindell like 40 times already.
Yes.
We want to talk about the fact that was the worst dive in NHL history, and how do you not suspend that?
I think he got his punishment.
Which is what?
So he had 3 terrible dives against, who was it, Robert Bortuzzo?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So good to see him picking on someone on another team this time.
This is just awful people all involved in this story.
I know.
Yeah,
I
these are all.
Yeah, allow me to come to the defense of Robert Bortuzzo.
In Robert Bortuzzo's defense, shit.
So he hits Esa Lindell 3 times. To me, that's $15,000 in fines, $5,000 for each dive.
Yep.
Like, that's horrible. And then, so here's why that's the stupidest thing ever. If you're Esa Lindell, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you look at it as, well, we got to work a little harder to get penalties in the Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, that's a neat thought that you had there. Also, keep in mind, cameras exist, and it's awful early in this series to be doing that shit. And keep in mind, they're able to review these things at intermission, at commercial break, at whenever they want. So if you give refs who are already in a scenario where they don't want to call penalties an excuse not to call a penalty, they're not going to call it. Sure enough, what was it, 90 seconds left in the game, something like that? Patrick Maroon hits Esa Lindell. Maybe he flopped, maybe he didn't. It doesn't matter. They were never going to call it because it was Esa Lindell and Patrick Maroon scores. Looks good on you. Sorry, Dallas Stars, and sorry, Dallas Stars fans. One guy screwed it up for you, and you're going to have a hell of a time getting a call for the rest of the series. Which might be shorter now because Esa Lindell screwed you in the game.
I would love to know the stats. I wonder if Esa Lindell gets, for the remainder of the playoffs, I wonder if he gets a penalty called on him, as in, like, he doesn't take the penalty, but gets a penalty.
Well, he doesn't have many games left, so.
Oof. The way the Blues are playing? I mean, it was a tight game.
A tight series. The Stars can absolutely beat the Blues, who I think are unbelievable. Screwed them out of a game. That's a huge blown opportunity. Because,
and trust us, Stars fans, we know all about that.
Yes, we know what blown opportunities look like because of boneheaded decisions involving a ref.
2 series tied at 1-1.
Yes.
I think my favorite series right now in the entire playoffs is Columbus-Boston.
It's good.
Because it's so good. It's tight.
Their games were so... I was going to say the Atlantic Division, even though the Blue Jackets are not in the Atlantic Division, there were very few boring games. Like, the Atlantic Division had a few teams that were not very good.
But even the Sens beat the Leafs, 3 times?
Sens played the Leafs amazingly. I thought the Habs played the Tampa Bay Lightning amazingly. Stop me if I've said that 1,000 times. Detroit played everyone tight.
Yep.
Every Detroit Leafs game was amazing. It was fantastic theater.
Yep.
Tavares ties it with 7 seconds to go in the game. 2 overtime games. It was ridiculous. The Bruins, Blue Jackets, all season was awesome. Even the blowouts. All season was awesome. And then there was a 2-1 overtime game, and that was the Marchand doing the Conor McGregor walk. It was awesome. These 2 teams don't like each other, and it's been fantastic to watch. How about the Bruins, man? Okay, even if they come out of this series, they lost 2 to the Leafs at home out of 4. And so now they're 500 at home in the playoffs.
Yep.
They lost, I want to say, 9 games in regulation at home all season. It's wacky.
It is the playoffs, though. And it's a wacky playoff.
And it doesn't matter.
Are you surprised, because I certainly am, that Carolina has taken a 2-0 lead on the Islanders?
Stunned. Dude, again, imagine us having a conversation in September or something where we talk about the second round goalie duel between Robin Lehner and Peter Mrazek.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Sorry, Robin Lehner against Peter Mrazek and Curtis McElhinney. What?
What's their couple name? McElhinney and
Mrazek-Laney.
No, you can do better than that.
Mikzik.
There we go.
Mickelzak.
Never made it as a backup.
But he did.
No, never made it as a starter. That's both of them, really. And now they're unreal.
It's crazy to me that because I thought they would split the first 2 games.
At least.
At least. Now, there's still time. The Islanders have played very well. Robin Lehner has been their star for sure. But in a scenario where Carolina wins this series, are you ready for the Carolina Hurricanes to be in the Stanley Cup final? Because I believe whoever comes out of the Boston-Columbus series is going to have a really hard time with Carolina, the way they're playing. And the reason I believe that is they got a little bit of that Vegas gold dust magic, right? Which disappears in the finals.
Every team, yes.
Disappears in the finals, it's gone, all bets are off. However, I think, first off, they're young. Their defense core is really, really good. They're going to, if it's Boston that Carolina had to face, they'd have a really hard time with Marchand and Bergeron. But I think that they're a far better back-end team than the Leafs were.
Yep.
And I would argue that Carolina has a better defensive core than Columbus does, because after Seth Jones, it falls off a little bit.
Yeah.
Boy. And I would say that, either team is going to struggle. However, I would have said that about the Islanders too, given the way they've played.
Well, and they had, I want to say, they had 3 roster players who weren't available for Game 2, and at the end of Game 2, they had 3 more who didn't finish the game, including their starting goalie, Peter Mrazek.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. So, I don't even know what to predict for the rest of the series. I don't know who's on the Hurricanes right now. I don't. Who's on the Hurricanes? I don't know. They don't have Ferland.
Brindamore is.
He might be.
He's still there.
By the end of it. Might be on the 3rd line.
He's still in shape enough to do it.
They don't have Ferland. They don't have Svechnikov. Martinuk is in and out, depending on when I look.
Apparently, Svechnikov is practicing at least, so he might be coming back soon.
It's concussion, man. It's
you don't know.
So hard to predict.
And
has Greg McKegg seen ice then?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure he has.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Greg McKegg. I was going through this scenario, which I have a feeling the rest of the playoffs are going to be painful for Leafs fans, because basically every team left, there's at least one smack in the face on the roster. The Islanders are a pretty self-explanatory smack in the face, so that's no good.
Rask, I guess, on Boston.
Well, and just Boston in
It's
general
just Boston,
for existing.
Yeah.
Columbus has Scott Harrington, but no one remembers he was ever a Leaf.
Oh yeah,
That was the terrible year.
that's a guy they could have kept for depth.
Dallas has Roman Polak, and underrated, and I don't know if it still counts, but it does to me, damn it, Tyler Seguin. St. Louis Blues, someone, I saw a tweet, there is a fathomable scenario where Alex Steen hoists the cup and passes it to Tyler Bozak, who passes it to Carl Gunnarsson. And
That's fun.
Just kill me.
Carl Gunnarsson still a Blue.
Yep, still a Blue.
Gunnarsson and Steen.
The best.
That'd be awesome. I want to see that.
Oh, you're the best.
Just kill me.
Imagine Bozak leaves here and goes and wins the Stanley Cup.
Who do the Sharks have?
Oh, it would be the most Leafs thing ever.
Yeah.
Although, however, any team that wins a cup has a bunch of guys that used to play on another team. So we maybe need to stop.
No, Adam.
Okay.
Every guy on every other team came from that team.
Curtis McElhinney being the backup when the Hurricanes win is a good for you story.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis McElhinney conceivably could be the starting goalie.
Mm-hmm.
That's you just got to shut the hell up forever.
Or it's just a random coincidence.
Curtis McElhinney is still, I don't know how many more times we're going to have this freaking conversation, but it's one of the most unbelievable things ever. I'll die on the hill that it was the right bet to make, and it just shows you sometimes you lose the bet.
Yeah, sometimes you get great odds and they don't work out.
It was the Blue Jackets beating the Lightning of Trades. I don't know, man. It's a tough playoff as a Leaf fan.
Of course.
It's tough.
Of course.
It's been a struggle for you, Steve. It sounds like it's been a struggle.
What is it? Listen, if the Leafs were in, it would be more of a struggle. Let's be honest.
It wouldn't. I think some of your pain would ease if we had won Game 7.
Yeah,
And we were playing
Yeah, it
Columbus
wouldn't even
right
matter
now.
how they played against Columbus. It'd be like, whatever, we won.
Yeah, we did it,
we
at
did.
least.
Yeah,
Now you gotta live with that.
that's true. It's just the misery that's. This has been the most stressful of all the years on the podcast, and that's not
Yeah.
because we went through job changes. It's not because of all the stuff that's going on. Of the Leaf seasons we've seen, easily the worst, easily the most stressful, easily. Because at least the other ones you knew that they were falling off a cliff, and you knew that they were inept and incompetent, and then they got the right people in place, and things started to turn around. It's hope for the future, hope for the future.
It wasn't such a bad season for me personally, but like,
No,
Leaf fans enjoyed 0% of the
No,
season.
and it started with the Nylander stuff.
0%.
By the way, that really pissed me off last episode. No, we're trying to keep it somewhat light, and we are, but because last episode was just a barrage of incredible information.
CJ was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, but it's funny.
Unbelievable.
We will talk about that because I think we should talk about reactions to
Imagine last episode was your first one, and then you open up with like Game of Thrones for the first 10 minutes.
that. Whatever. What I found about this Leaf season that was different was, and what pissed me off about what we found out with CJ last episode is that Nylander could have had this contract in camp. And Kyle Dubas, sorry, anybody with a brain I guess their initial offer to Nylander was $5.5 million. And of course he's not going to take that.
Sure.
And of course he's going to wait till the end of the thing to negotiate a deal. And at the end of the day, I understand the criticism of Kyle Dubas by members of the media and by himself. Kyle Dubas made a huge miscalculation. And in his own words, he did not set William Nylander up for success. William Nylander is, if you base it on his first 2 seasons, not this past year, a $7 million player.
You know what?
That's market rate. That's what it costs to have a 65, 70-point guy, and that's what he was.
And that's after his first 19 games, which were atrocious. He was roughly on that.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah. So,
But we're going to have that conversation all summer.
That
I was
just
at a
pissed me
wedding
off.
this past weekend. I was having that freaking conversation. It's all anyone wants to talk about.
the last series
Is
we
how
haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about that.
yeah.
No more Nylander?
No, we're gonna get into the reactions from Chris in a second.
No.
Avalanche and Sharks.
What
Do you
about-
even know? Like, what? You ever look at that and you go, "What even do I think here?"
So producer Drew from Sportsnet is an Avalanche fan, and there was that negated icing call that led to Tyson Barrie scoring the game-winning goal. And Marc-Edouard Vlasic after the game goes, "I want the NHL to apologize to me," and Drew goes, "I'm sorry, someone on the Sharks wants the NHL to apologize for a call that didn't go their way." A call that didn't go their way is why they're in the second round right now. That and Vegas with arguably in a playoffs that featured the Toronto Maple Leafs, the worst penalty kill of the playoffs. Like that was unbelievable. Jesse and I had a mini conversation that got overshadowed because Chris was on the show. But I was like, the NHL screwed the Vegas Golden Knights, and you poo-pooed that.
No, you don't get screwed when you go up 3-1 and then leave it to the final game and then you allow 4 goals on a power play and then lose in overtime. Who got screwed?
And they
or did
tied
you
it.
lose 8 times within the span of 4 days?
Four goals in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you
is
had so
stunning.
many opportunities in the series to just win it. And then you leave it to the last second where you allow 4 goals and you're like, we got screwed on this call. That's the reason we lost, not the 800 minutes before this when we could have just shut the door and won the series.
It's like getting cut off
Sorry.
in traffic, throwing your car into reverse, and backing into the car behind you, and blaming the guy who cut you off. Well, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. But
Yeah.
what were you doing?
It's like if you're late for something and then you blame traffic. You know? It's like you were late. It's not traffic's fault.
What is this pointed, Jesse?
No.
Or- What is this?
No, it's like you already left late. I
Oh,
meant.
right.
It's just an example.
Oh no, there are so many times I get mad at traffic for making me late.
Yeah, it's not the traffic made you late. It's you left and then there's traffic and it's like, no, you should have left on time, Vegas. You had the opportunities. You had so many opportunities. And then you allowed 4 goals after all of those opportunities. Without the 4 goals, you were up 3-1 already. Anyways,
So anyway, Avalanche and Sharks.
stop
fun.
it, Vegas.
It's fun because
It's
I look at that
super
series and
fun.
go, "What even is this? What is how?"
You know, people talked about God, I hope the Leafs win because it'll usher in this new fun era of screw defense and all offense, and that's the Sharks. They're an awful defensive team. But they score a lot of goals, and their guys on defense score a lot of goals. And you see Brent Burns hit on Matt Calvert.
No.
Just not even going for the puck, just destroyed him. But,
Did he get called?
No, God, no. No, it was a clean hit.
No, okay.
But I don't know. He's the ultimate. It's like they took the average ones player in NHL 19 and just gave him a beard and everything, and now he's on the Sharks. No, they're an awful defensive team, but if they win the Stanley Cup, they're everything people talk about the Leafs being, basically, except they're older. Mm-hmm. So because they're older, people don't view them that way.
And their defense is a little better? On paper, at least.
They're better at moving the puck, which is why they're able to overcome the fact that they're so defensively ass. Like, the Sharks are the direction that the Sharks are the Leafs if they committed to what they are. Except they don't have a goalie.
So, yeah, but they're getting goaltending.
But they're on occasion, yes.
Yes.
On occasion, they'll get 57 saves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're basically that. And the Avs, Nathan McKinnon. Let's see if one guy can win a Stanley Cup. I want to see it. I want to see it.
If they win the cup, he's the lock for the Conn Smythe for sure.
Oh my God.
But
he's having an Eric Carlson.
I think you need to. I think you need to revote all the NHL awards.
Okay, every nomination that comes up, because they're doing it daily.
It should just be Nathan McKinnon.
Garbage. All of them garbage. The Hart, garbage. The Norris,
who was
garbage.
even? I don't.
Calder, garbage.
As usual, I don't pay attention to the awards because it doesn't matter. But who won? Who got the nom?
The Hart was Crosby, Kucherov, and
who was the other guy? Crosby was the one everyone was mad about.
McDavid,
like, what?
was it?
Oh,
It
yeah,
was McDavid.
Oh, they nominated him this year.
Yeah,
Or did he not get nominated last year? I don't even think he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. He better win.
Yeah, and like Crosby,
Kucherov's probably going to win.
Greg Wyshynski made the point. Yeah, Kucherov's going to win.
How
Yeah.
can a team?
The votes were in before the playoffs started.
No, that's still bullshit. Not what Kucherov did in the playoffs. It's such crap that anybody could think, based on the wording of what the Hart Trophy is supposed to be, that anybody other than Connor McDavid is the Hart Trophy recipient. Most valuable to their
The
team.
Penguins
Do
don't
not
make the
tell
playoffs.
me.
Penguins literally don't make the playoffs if Sidney Crosby doesn't have the
Edmonton
season he
doesn't
did.
win a game without Connor McDavid.
Who gives a shit? What's more
Do you
valuable?
think there's any chance? You want to know why Leon Draisaitl got 50 goals?
Why?
Because they're triple covering Connor. And Connor still got more points. Sorry, Leon. Maybe center your own line at $8.5 million.
So you consider the Hart Trophy not to be the best player?
He is the Marc Messier Award winner, in my opinion. That's right. The Leadership Award? Absolutely Connor McDavid. And Hart Trophy winner this year. And put him in for the Masterson, too, for devotion to the game. I'm not kidding.
So ridiculous.
No,
The
man.
Masterton for being the best player on the Oilers?
Masterton for dealing with the Oilers.
Should he also get the Norris?
You know what? You know who else deserves a Masterton nominee? The Oilers fans. They deserve it too. This is a joke. This is a joke what's going on in Edmonton right now.
The correct answer is Zach Hyman's ACL.
Prove me wrong, Bobby Nix. Prove me wrong. By the way, to wrap up our Game of Thrones conversation from earlier, I want to read something to you. It just came up.
Okay.
Remember how we were talking about how it was too dark?
You are so on this.
Okay, so here's you'll love this.
All right.
Because this is, I knew this was the case, and I didn't even have to read this article, but now I know.
Sure.
Fabian Wagner, the episode's director of photography, has responded to complaints about many viewers being upset that they intentionally chose to make it dark lighting. So a lot of the problem is that a lot of people don't know how to tune their TVs properly.
That's what I said.
Dude.
A lot of people also, unfortunately, watch it on small iPads, which in no way can do justice to a show like that. And he continued, another look for this episode would have been wrong. Everything we wanted people to see is there.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you.
I was about to say.
Fuck you,
No,
dude.
you can't tell people how to do their content, Adam.
I'm paying for that.
Yeah.
I'm paying for that.
Yeah, but you paid for what they delivered.
No.
They said, here is this thing. If you want it, here you go. Pay for
The
it.
entire series has been lit properly to this point.
No?
Jesse is absolutely right. You know, what do they always say? Fuck the customer.
Yeah. They said, here's this thing. If you want it, it is yours. Give us money if you want it. And you gave them money.
You ever have to give an apology?
I love your
You ever
face
have to
right
give
now.
an apology in elementary school? I'm sorry that I punched you in your stupid face, you piece of shit.
I'm sorry your TV wasn't good enough. You didn't watch it on a good enough platform.
You know, a
Sorry
recipe-
you're poor.
I've always found a
Exactly.
recipe for success is blame the customer. That's a great idea. Good business move, guys. You got 3 episodes left of this one show that's your remaining success. Good luck, HBO.
How are you to tell Game of Thrones, the TV show of all TV show, how to film a TV show?
Oh my God, Game of Thrones is Mike Babcock.
I didn't even complain about the content on the show.
Game
And
of
there are
Thrones
some
is Mike
plot holes,
Babcock.
man. There are some plot holes. Didn't even complain.
It achieved a bunch of stuff, and now you can't tell it shit.
Yeah.
It's Mike Babcock.
Hey, Fabian, how about all of us don't have the best TV in the world because not all of us make Game of Thrones money?
Well, then
Good
you
for
don't
you.
deserve to see it.
The first scene of
You know what? He's got a point.
the first scene of the next episode should be like some sort of heavenly flashback, and it's just obnoxiously bright.
Yeah.
Like blinds everyone.
Everything is just super white.
It's
Burns
Diddy's
your
White
retinas.
Party. It's literally a live shot of Diddy's White Party.
Yeah.
Well, they are going to King's Landing, and there's always sun
There's
there,
some,
so
it's
you'll be
always
happy.
sunny in King's Landing, am I right?
It's always
Here's a
sunny.
crossover for you.
Yeah, Danny DeVito on the throne.
That would actually be great. I would like that.
Tyrion or
Now
Danny
we've got a couple
DeVito.
things that we got to talk about. First off, there's a little bit we got to talk about the last episode because there was, I wouldn't call it fallout, but last episode more than I think, when you do a show 100 times a year or 200 times a year, there are going to be shows that stick out. That last week's show with Chris Johnston for sure is going to be one of the bigger episodes. Like last year when we had the John Tavares signing, that was one of our biggest shows in 2018.
It's already one of our biggest shows of the month. It'll definitely be
One of the bigger shows
biggest
ever.
ones of the year, and
And I-
probably ever. Yeah,
And I think Tavares is the biggest one ever, but
easily.
But what was interesting? First off, a lot of people were like, "Well, why don't you have CJ on every episode?" Well, that'd be great, but I don't think that Chris has time for that.
Well, and also, like, I wasn't kidding last episode. I thought we were getting him for 20 minutes. And I looked up after about 45, and I was like, I guess he's staying.
I thought that's all we were getting him for too.
Yeah.
Adam's the one who booked him.
The other thing is, there's not every day is Chris Johnson going to have that kind of information all readily available. We were
That
talking
was an end of season, once a year.
end of season once a year.
Yeah.
And the reason that we first off sparingly use Chris's time is because Chris's time is very valuable. Yeah. And secondly, we want to have him on when it packs the most punch. Yeah. Chris has a lot of amazing things to say all the time on the Leafs. He's got a lot of, as you can tell, he won't spin you the same boring ass narrative about how much Mitch Marner's agent thinks he should make next year.
And he gets it. Like, Chris understands. He speaks the language of the business and the fan, which so few people do.
Yep.
And he knows what people want to hear, and he knows what's boring and what's ass-kicking.
And what's interesting about it is when you go back and you listen, is there anything in there that you were like, I think there was a couple surprises, like Igor Ozhiganov stealing his own equipment, and then now he's signing an Akbars, by the way.
Basically gone. Yeah.
And, the Ron Hainsey story was funny. I think I was shocked
That
at
was
one
great.
moment. There was one moment that really shocked me where I was like, oh,
What was that?
I don't even know. But
Well, the
somebody actually like screenshotted me with my mouth open shocked, and I don't know what I was shocked about.
potential Malkin trade,
Maybe it
a
was that.
potential Marner trade.
Maybe. Now, you know what?
We
That-
just talked about all
But
situations.
that
with
was
Marner.
like, there was nothing that he said there that we really couldn't have figured out on his own or on our own.
Well, if they can't sign him, they got to trade him. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But I think to have a guy like Chris Johnston, who has a lot of weight behind his words, say it is a completely different thing. And what he was with you on that podcast and what he's been on his radio hits and TV hits since is brutally honest. That is where the Leafs stand. And if you don't know, if you haven't heard the episode yet, I suggest you go back and listen to it because I don't know if I've ever heard somebody more thoroughly speak about this franchise and really and truly answer every question as honestly as he possibly could. And the fact is, there's a lot up in the air. So, there was waves made for this, but I also think that the timing was right. It was the end of the season. We're disappointed. It's literally right after locker cleanout. He walked here from locker cleanout. Walked here.
Yeah. Literally. Yes, that's what happened.
And he did a great job. He did a great job, and it's been nice to see the reaction to it. I think it surprised him. didn't really surprise me. I kind of walked away from that episode going, yeah, this is going to make some waves.
Well, I think he walked into locker cleanout day with his own expectations of how it was going to go, and it didn't go that way at all. Like, he thought there were going to be lots of votes of confidence, and there was nothing. There was nothing. There was I want to get your opinions on this. So it was Kyle Dubas owning everything and going, that's on me, that's on me. Michael Grange made the point of he thinks that's kind of phony because, well, how is that on you? What, I don't know. What do you
I don't think he's wrong. I mean,
I think it's a harsh way of putting it.
People went into it, I think, with the expectation with CJ thing. I think people went into that Dubas press conference with, Dubas is going to come out and say, I have full confidence in my head coach. This is who we put in charge. We put him in charge to do these things. This is what he did, and that's the results. But he never said any of those things. And I think people were very shocked by that. So then you come out of that with all these questions.
Dubas's press conference to me is far more fascinating than Babcock's.
Yeah.
I mean, Babcock, it's just a long version of what he always does, basically. And, I mean, one thing you got to give Babcock is he is his own man. Like, I never feel like he's lying. But with Dubas, you could see the prim and proper professional actively fist fighting with the emotional, pissed off guy who lost. Like, with every word.
And his assessment was fair, correct? In saying that, hey, but it's not fair because it's not on him, right? It is phony? I don't know.
Well,
is it? Do you think it's phony, Adam?
I think it is an attempt at pulling the heat off the guys because I think Kyle must have known, and rightly so. He should know. If Kyle didn't know, then he's not doing his job.
No way.
Kyle knew that the fire was going to be on the coaching staff, and it deserved to be. So Kyle did the right thing, even if he didn't like it, which is take the heat off the coaching staff, tell them you didn't get the players that they needed. Okay, whatever that is. Okay,
bullshit.
Zach Hyman's super injured, and we're going to put him out there on a face-off against Bergeron.
That drove me wild.
That's cool.
When
That's cool. We're going to do that.
Talking about, well, Hyman with his ACL and
no, it's Hyman with his face-off ability, man. He's not a center.
No, but he was talking about it. I mean, you can win a face-off, but like eventually they're going to get the puck.
But like Matthews is a player on your team, and he played 18 minutes.
And there was that. But
I think that's a player he has for you.
But specifically when he was talking about Hyman, he's like, well, his ACL injury slowed him down the penalty call. So you someone with 2 ACLs.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You're going to tell me that Trevor Moore couldn't have done that?
Or, like, listen, and I love Zach Hyman, but, dude, he had a bum ACL.
And he won't play till, November now? Maybe?
Right. So he's going to miss the first bit of the season. And that drove me nuts about a few of the players. And, like, it's not like I noticed Hyman stunk or anything, but he obviously was hurt. And the whole Gardner thing, he obviously played hurt the whole time. And I'm just like, what was the illusion here? And, like, he's trying to avoid surgery. You were going to play like that for another month and a half? You're going to jeopardize the rest of your career. Like, I know you want to win a cup or so. What were the sheer odds that if the Leafs won, Gardner was going to be useful in the Stanley Cup final?
Not at all.
Even Hyman.
No
what
way.
was going to happen to Hyman in like a day after?
No way.
And Babcock and so Babcock was telling a story, and it was funny in a way. At one point, Hyman goes, "You know what? I think it's getting better." And
Yeah,
he
we
smirked
talked about
and
that.
he laughed. And the smirk is Hyman is that much of a gamer that he would say something like that. But the undertone is, of course it's not getting better. So
It's a
what?
torn ACL.
So Hyman with a torn ACL was going to give you another month and a half of hockey games.
That was going to happen.
I don't think so.
No.
He was going to give you another 45 days.
Yeah.
Just get out of here.
Yep.
Actually, more than that, because he heard it in Game 4.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Anyway, hockey's nuts.
Hockey's nuts.
Hockey's nuts.
It's a crazy
So
place.
Dubas plays nice. We're all okay
Dubas
with
plays
that.
nice because Dubas is doing what a leader does, which is you have to take the fall for the guys that deserve to take the fall sometimes. But that doesn't mean that Kyle Dubas doesn't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And Kyle Dubas has made some mistakes this year, and I think he was right. Did he not get them the right guys at the deadline? No, he got them the right guys. Are the Leafs going to go to the Stanley Cup without a healthy Jake Gardner? I don't think so. Not the way they played without him.
This was a point I wanted to make earlier, and I just remembered it now. So, Kyle Dubas made a mistake. with the whole McElhaney thing. Noted.
And the Nylander thing.
Yep. Oh, sorry, that was it. That was the one. There it is. So one thing I remember him talking about in his really early days with the Leafs was the Leafs' handling of Stuart Percy. And, first round pick, his first call up to the Leafs, he actually looked pretty good. It looks all right. But then what they did is they yo-yoed him. And after a while, it was very clear that it wasn't working out. And now he's like a guy on an AHL deal or something like that. And I liked Stuart Percy. And Dubas talked about that as, well, we learned a lesson. We didn't, we yo-yoed him too much. We didn't put Stuart Percy in a position to succeed. And now what do we see with the Leafs prospect development? He's clearly learned from that. They over-ripen guys. They don't call them up until they're absolutely ready, and then some. So he learned from that mistake. So Dubas, at very least, has a track record of proving he learned from mistakes. So I'm expecting Mitch Marner to be handled much differently than William Nylander.
Now, according to some reports, Mitch Marner and his agent aren't willing to talk until after July 1st.
Shut up.
That's the rumor. So if that's the case, which I don't believe is the truth, but that's what some people have suggested, and why would they? That was actually a comment I heard. And I guess if you're going for the most money, sure, but I just don't see that from Mitch Marner. I just don't.
No.
Like, I don't see, like, I'm gonna press the Leafs to the max. This team that's been really good to me in this city that's been really good to me, and then risk not coming back because they frankly won't be able to keep me.
Severely fuck over their ability to get me good teammates.
I don't believe that. Not for a second. I believe that's the agent talking through the media again, which he's rightly done. He's retreated and stopped being quoted himself and is now using mouthpieces, which is fine. If that's the tack they choose to take, I think Dubas has got to be cold and hard about this. Masai Ujiri can trade DeMar DeRozan. I think Kyle Dubas can trade Mitch Marner.
And
you know what I do?
Please, God,
if I'm Kyle Dubas and I'm pressed in that situation, I go out and I go to Artemi Panarin's agent and I say, "What do you want? What's it going to take? Sign on the dotted line." And then I sit back and let teams sign Mitch Marner because I won't match. Go ahead.
You know what would be great?
What?
If they have to trade Mitch Marner, they double the asset.
Yeah.
Because it's the free money you get by not signing him, plus what you get back for him.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he's really, really, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like...
And I'm pretty sure I'd rather have Mitch Marner than Artemi Panarin.
But you double the asset.
Yeah, dude.
But I'd rather have Mitch Marner
Listen,
than Artemi Panarin.
The way I look at it...
two things?
I don't think there's
instead of one thing.
I think there's a situation here, and Chris pointed it out. There isn't. If you play this properly with the Leafs, you shouldn't lose.
Yeah, you can't.
You may lose Marner, but you shouldn't lose overall.
You shouldn't lose the deal. Yeah, you're so right.
And if Kyle Dubas if it's Dave Notice at the helm, I go, they're going to lose.
I'm not even ready to talk about a Mitch Marner trade out loud yet. I'm just not.
Doesn't bother me that much.
Shut up.
It doesn't.
It doesn't even bother you that much,
dude. It doesn't. This is where it gets to be serious, and Mitch Marner has to make a choice. Do you want to be a part of something special?
This is why Adam negotiates stuff.
Or do you want to go to... Do you really want to go anywhere else? Where are you going to go, man?
Mitch Marner's going to be a Leaf.
It's just that the stakes are higher now.
Yeah.
It's like bringing it back to DeRozan. It's, okay, a year ago, you're like, how could we ever trade the guy who wants to be in Toronto, the franchise player? But the stakes are an NBA championship, so you have to get rid of him.
Who on earth do you get that's worth it?
The stakes are Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
If Mitch Marner doesn't want to be here and you can't sign him, then you go for the thing that'll get you the Stanley Cup. And that's like, okay, we cut him, but the end goal is Stanley Cup, so who cares?
Marner's going to sign 8 years, $6 million. That's going to happen.
You know what? He could still make more money than anybody on the team at that rate.
6.9 because he thinks it's funny.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Listen, I want Mitch Marner to be a Leaf too, first and foremost.
Yeah.
However, Mitch Marner has to make that choice, and Mitch Marner's not stupid, and neither are his parents, neither is his agent. There is a number. That is all the Leafs can do. If you cannot accept that, then you will not be here, period.
Yeah.
Now, let's do some fun stuff. Put your headphones on, gentlemen. Did you hear? Let's travel to New York, where our good friend Mike Francesa has retaken his spot at the top of the heat at WFAN. Now, fun fact, they have a morning show there, and the morning show and Mike don't necessarily get along. And Mike likes to talk about how he doesn't listen to the morning show, except that he definitely listens every morning. Now, I tell you this to play you this. 2 Washburn University football players, and I'm quoting directly from Deadspin.com, were shot outside of a party in Topeka, Kansas, early Sunday morning. Junior defensive back Dwayne Simmons was pronounced dead at the scene, while his teammate Corey Ballantyne suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Hours before the shooting, Ballantyne became the first Washburn player in 11 years to be selected for the NFL draft when the Giants took him in the 6th round. Naturally, Mike Francesa has triangulated this to the least sensitive angle possible.
Oh, no. This isn't the clip I even thought you were going to play.
He impugned Ballantyne's character, blamed the player for getting shot, and found that the true tragedy here is that people will laugh at the Giants.
No!
Here is the clip.
Yep,
That's sad.
that's what's sad for sure.
So, Boomer and Geo in the morning, big morning show. They're actually televised too. They have a really nice studio. That clip, by the way, is from Mike's podcast, which you have to pay more than the next Netflix rate to hear. Remember, they have the Mike Francesa app that's like, what is it? $11 a month or something. It's insane. And he does 4 shows a month on it. Like, it's like a Sunday show. But anyway, Boomer and Geo were talking about that exact clip. And actually, that clip was tweeted by Back After This, which was originally called, like, basically the Funhouse, which is just a thing that takes Mike Francesa clips and puts them on the internet. It's a super fan. And that's where we get most of our Mike Francesa stuff. And that's where I think Deadspin gets it too. And this was tweeted at me no less than 10 times today. Mike called into Boomer and Geo when they addressed that clip on the air, and here's what happened. So Mike didn't like to be quoted very much on that issue. That is, by the way, Boomer Saracen is Matt Martin's father-in-law.
Oh,
Esiason, sorry.
So, wait. Do they work for the same station?
That is the morning show, and he is the afternoon show on that station.
Oh.
So he called into the morning show on his station. And by the way, I think in sports radio, at least in Canada, the afternoon show is the big show.
It's the same in the States.
Is it the same in the States? Yeah. The morning shows are huge in the States. Like Mike and Mike and it's not Mike and Mike anymore.
So
but
that's like Greg Brady calling in and cussing out Bunkus and Bennis.
No, it's like Bob McCown calling Greg Brady.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because you want to be on the lead into the games, right? Not the night before.
I have never once listened to him.
After.
I've never listened to a Mike Francesa clip and been like, there's a guy who loves his job.
Well, apparently since he's been back,
he seems like he hates it.
People have said that since he's been back, he's been really dark. Like because remember he was off for like 6 months, and they put that show in, and they're like, just kidding, Mike. I think maybe he really doesn't. Or maybe when you do something 6 times a week, like a 4 or 5 hour, because he does a 5-hour talk radio show. No, I just don't think he's got much else going on. Like, retire, dude. You should be on the links. Like, go to Florida. Like, do something.
Well, he tried that and he couldn't do it. You know, he tried retiring.
Sometimes it's better to be miserable in what you're in than miserable doing something else.
I don't know. Listening to that clip, I'm not sure. Was that a deleted scene from Moneyball?
It sounded like it, didn't it?
He's got no confidence, ugly girlfriend, goes to parties where there's gunfire. Like, I don't remember that part from Moneyball. Was that deleted? Holy shit! That's unbelievable.
Isn't that an unbelievable clip? Unbelievable. Hey,
then the Mike Francesa bit took a turn. That is not. I thought you were going to play the one where they're like, "Oh, there's no way he's going to draft the guy." Oh my God, they drafted him with the quarterback. Wow, that is not what I thought you were going to play at all. Holy shit, Mike!
The Toronto Maple Leafs are hiring.
Hey!
They're looking for a developer in hockey research and development. Basically, the overview is that this person will provide information and support to all areas of hockey operations in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, including management, coaching, scouting, player development, and sports science. To support those efforts, we're hiring a developer to help us support our data platform. So basically, your duties are designing, developing, and supporting the use. And this is important. Remember this stuff. I need you both to remember this, okay? Designing, I know what you're doing, and don't do it because I got it.
Okay.
Trust me. Designing, developing, and supporting the use of new and existing tools as a part of Toronto Maple Leafs data platform, including ingesting data feeds, processing data into useful metrics, developing tools to enable the organization to find, view, and manipulate data, writing and running tests, identifying bottlenecks, optimizing for speed, working with colleagues to maximize their benefit from the platform, analyzing hockey data, collaborating on research projects, and other operations as assigned.
Sounds like you better be smart.
And then they got a bunch of things. You got to have a degree in a quantitative field, computer science, engineering, mathematics required. Obviously, experience and all of the things that you would think you would need for that. And it is a full-time position with benefits. We'll need to work evenings, weekends, and holidays as required. Duh. Reports to the special assistant to the GM, which reminds me of The Office, because isn't Dwight the special? He keeps calling himself the assistant to the regional manager, but he's the special assistant to the
he calls himself assistant regional manager, but he's assistant to the regional manager.
That's right, right. So this is someone who reports to the special assistant to the GM.
Who's the special assistant to the GM?
I don't know.
Brittam? No, he's the AGM. No, I don't know.
Don't know.
It's Dwight Schrute.
Anyway, it's interesting.
It's Dwight. Parkour.
So that's a fully paid position. And a really good entry-level spot if you're looking to get into sports analytics. There's a few people on Twitter where I'm like, instead of tweeting, you should be absolutely applying for this and shutting off your Twitter account immediately.
Yeah, there are a few accounts that should go dark pretty soon.
Drag Like Pull tweeted, the Preds want someone to work 40 hours a week for them with these skills, experience in SQL, Python, or statistical programming language, experience with modeling techniques, including regression analysis and modeling, data visualization, intermediate expertise in Excel, which I think everybody sort of has, excellent analytical skills, attention to detail, and the ability to work independently with data to provide relevant analysis, ability to prioritize and manage multiple projects and support multiple departments within the hockey operations, and they will pay you $0. They want you to work 40 hours a week for $0. Jesse, when you were an intern at KISS 92.5,
yes,
what do we have you do for $0, but an internship for credit?
I answered some phone calls.
But at least he got
Hold
credit.
on. Just let him.
I edited audio, a couple social media as well. I got coffee.
Yeah, you did. You got a lot of coffee. You did.
That was
pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
You did some videos and stuff like that.
It filled up 4 hours out of my day.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to school at the time. I was going to Ryerson University.
Now, 4 hours every day. Now, you weren't coming in every day.
It was not every day.
What was it?
I was there 4 times a week.
Which is still a lot.
16 hours a week.
Sure, 16 hours, yeah. Doing some simple tasks around the radio station.
And after about 6 months, I think they hired you?
February to October.
Okay, so maybe 8.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. So, but then they hired you as a producer for, the Blake and Wild show.
Sure.
Which then became my show. And then, obviously, the podcast.
But you got a school credit.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to get a certain amount of hours, and I got that. And yeah, I did it for school credit, yeah.
So, at least... So, your internship
I needed
with KISS
to do it. Yeah.
gave more than this 40-hour-a-week internship with the Preds. Monetarily,
no,
it was
but
the
it's
same,
not.
But
It's not I don't believe it's an internship.
oh, with the Preds.
Yeah.
No, it's just a
It's
job
just an
that doesn't
unpaid
pay.
position with an NHL team because
they're calling it an internship, though.
right. So you can drive Uber on the weekends and somehow survive on minimum wage. Now,
No.
interestingly, you click the link. Nashville's taken it down, and it's been almost
It's
exactly
been.
24 hours since he posted that. Since Drag Like Pull put it out there.
Do you think it was a mistake? Like, did they accidentally put no pay?
No, I think they tried to get away with this and got roasted by the internet and then had to backtrack real quick.
Yep.
And you know what's
That's
funny?
what I think.
That's a
happened.
paid position.
They're
in
having
any.
the same conversation I think every company does when this sort of thing happens, which it does every so often. If he didn't tweet about this, there wouldn't be an issue. And if that's what they're taking from it, they're more lost than they know. The issue is you had a 40-hour-a-week position for $0 freaking dollars.
Like, even if you'd paid minimum wage, people probably still would have had a problem with it, but
Yeah.
you would have. Like, what kind of candidate are you looking for that has that ability? Unless they come from money.
Like, I had, well, there's that. I had, like, my internship at the Fan, I think it was like 14 hours a week. It was like 2 7-hour shifts, something like that. And yeah, it was more of the same. I was getting coffee and I was cutting clips. Zero expertise, right? And I at least...
What were you good at? Microsoft Word?
Not even. Like, I got good at Burley, which is an audio editing software.
Yeah, anybody in radio news knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I got lots of opportunities out of it. At no point during my internship was I ever like, I'm getting screwed over. Like every day I was like, I'm getting something from this. And I'm a dumb guy who is smarter today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it wasn't paid. And some people would say, well, they are taking advantage of you. And you were able to work that because of certain privileges, such as you live with my parents, which is absolutely true. And that's part of a larger debate. But I would argue that that is a lot different than 40 hours a week expertise. Like you should have a degree to do that shit.
You have to have a degree to
or
do that shit.
Or at least be self-taught over half a decade to learn that much shit and be good at it. Like, I mean, I don't doubt that they'll find a candidate. I do doubt that they'll be good.
Well, and here's my favorite. Dylan Freeman replied, "Your reward? You have a distant shot at making $40,000 next year to do the same job."
Right? Well, and what's the
in
Predators...
2021?
Oh my god, that's bad. I hope it was a mistake. I hope
you're giving them too much credit.
I know.
This is a corporation.
I know I am, but again, optimist. I'm an optimist.
And here's my favorite.
Optimist.
Somebody tweeted, "So we are expressing that." Oh, sorry. That's the whole point. So basically, the offer is ridiculous and no one should agree to it. But that's for Nashville to realize when no one applies. They don't need to subsidize anyone's career. And Stephen Birch rightly responded to the guy and said, "Are you calling paying an employee a reasonable salary subsidizing someone's career?" Man. Listen, if you are smart enough,
funny.
like I always think of like Rachel, like our friend Rachel, who is so brilliant, or Ian Tulloch or somebody like that. And you know what, honestly, it's not easy, right? It's not easy to cut it in analytics. It's not easy to be, like if you're mathematically inclined, you're also going up against all the other people who are mathematically inclined. It's not easy. And they don't pay very much. And so if you're one of those people,
apply for the Leaf position.
Apply for the Leaf position. And also know that when a position like that comes up, and let's say the next one isn't tweeted, but it's a free, know that you can make more money being smart on the internet for now and wait for a paid position. I really just think you can. I think you can do that. I think you can write for something. You can do something. Don't let them get away with this, I guess.
Yeah.
Because listen, I say that as someone who benefited from an internship. That's not an internship. That's a job. Huge difference. I loved my internship. I had a blast. I would not be where I am today if it were not for Corey Kim. Corey Kim is the guy that he does mornings in Edmonton now at Up. Corey Kim changed the trajectory of my life. There's no question. However, once I was done with the internship, I moved on to a paying job. It wasn't a high-paying job, but it was a paying job. And that's sort of how it's supposed to work. And it was a limited amount of time, and I learned as much as I could. This isn't a 40-hour-a-week internship.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
I think there crosses a line where, like, you are...
Literally just taking advantage of people that want to work for the NHL.
Getting taken advantage of. I know of someone who interned for free for 2 years before they were offered a gig. And there are so many issues at play. We can do a whole podcast on that.
And never come to a conclusion, because you can talk in circles forever about it.
Like, that's insane.
I'm someone that
40
believes...
hours a week is ridiculous.
I'm someone that believes in seizing your opportunities. That, to me, doesn't look like an opportunity.
You're like, that is someone who... You're either slowly killing that person because they're working 40 hours a week at that, 40 hours a week doing something else, and the remaining sleeping.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, hold your poop.
They're not going to be healthy.
No. They're not going to be sociable.
Yeah,
like, how do you expect them to have a life doing that for free?
And by the way, working...
Or it's just someone who's paid for.
Take it from someone who's done it. Working an astronomical amount of hours in a day or over the course of a week doesn't make you better at something.
Wrote about that in my book.
You must take time off.
Did you write
must.
a book?
I did. Bestseller. Sorry, no, I wrote a bestseller, Jesse.
That's funny.
Steve Dangle,
Anytime-
YouTuber, podcaster, author.
No, bestseller.
Oh, best-selling author. They didn't put that in the
They
sports.
should have changed the letterhead there.
I did. Part of me was like, should I actually dare ask them to do that?
What if I print out that and I send it to MLSE?
You go ahead and do it.
I might.
You walk it over there. It's a few blocks away.
No, I'll stick it in the mail. It's a lot of work.
Put it in there, and that'll be my job application. That's brazen, man.
Let's do the press conference.
I think the press conference is we're 2 hours in.
Oh,
It's
are we?
Time to go.
Hey, ask me one question.
All right. Give me. You gotta give me a second. Let the
give you a
music
second.
play.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
This is a good question. Brian_Wilkes writes, if you could ask any player or exec in the NHL a single question, and you put some truth serum into them, and no matter what, you're going to get the correct, truthful answer out of this player from your one question or executive, what would the question to this player or executive be with your truth serum? Adam and Steve.
It would be Patrick Berglund, and it would be what happened.
Interesting.
What happened in Buffalo? That's burning on my mind right now. I want to know what happened.
Oh.
How do you walk away from $9 million? I want to know what that motivation is. And maybe that's really nosy because it could be a very personal reason. But if we're being honest, that's
What if
that's
you had really
my
explosive
NHL burning
diarrhea?
question right now is that.
He just had diarrhea for a couple months and he just couldn't get over it.
Yeah, can't do
Couldn't
it.
play anymore.
Well, just pooping.
Just diarrhea on the ice.
Joel Embiid played a great game with diarrhea.
What did they call him? Shat deuce?
Shat deuces.
Shat deuces. He had a case of the shat deuces.
Okay.
That's your question?
That is my question.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
A man who has had a long and astounding career, who is shrouded by mystery and never says anything. You got to give the truth serum to Lou Lamoriello for sure.
What's the one question you
only get
asked?
one, though.
Oh, I only get one
Yeah,
question.
you get
question.
one drop of truth serum and
Veritas
one
serum.
question. And then the truth serum wears off.
Ooh, I know what my question is, but none of them can be mentioned on this show.
What?
Ooh, Steve, man of mystery. I'm going to change my answer to Steve. What question would you ask Lou Lamoriello? That's mine.
That's my fucking question.
Ooh, I'm Steve and I'm mysterious.
I am.
Let me go back to my cave in Oshawa.
Yeah, hey, my cave of mystery.
Is Steve Batman?
He might be.
It's not Durham region, it's Durham mystery. That makes sense.
Instead of Murdoch Mysteries, it's Durham Mysteries.
What happened with Joffrey Lupul?
Oh.
That would be my question.
You wouldn't ask Joffrey Lupul?
No, because I think he'd just tell you. And that's not as fun.
Well, then, why are you wasting your truth serum on something you can't?
You're right, I should just find him and ask him.
Yeah, just go ask Joffrey. Damn it, Steve.
You know, it is shocking that not one person really asked.
I
think everybody didn't want to ask.
Yeah.
that is a years down the line. That is a
You think Joffrey will ever say?
that is a get him liquored up on Spit and Chicklets episode waiting to happen.
Do you
Honestly?
remember the funny comeback? When he did the thing on Instagram, was it?
Yep.
What was it? 2
And
years?
Kadri liked it?
This
And
wasn't
Kadri
this
liked
year.
it.
That was the year
and
before,
everyone
right?
got pissed when I called him out for liking it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost like Kadri's done dumb shit before.
It's almost like
Sorry, my patience level with Kadri is nil right
it's almost
now.
like I love him and he's a knucklehead at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't-
I love him
Don't
too.
you have people in your life who you love who are knuckleheads? Sorry. Yes.
My dogs and Nazem Kadri.
Can I
I love Naz. And my dogs also make dummy moves too. But I love them.
Iggy and Charlie take turns being their own brand of stupid.
Yeah.
But I really
It's funny,
do love them.
like because you set the bar lower. Like par is not. You know what I mean? It's a little lower a little higher for dogs, I guess.
Yeah.
Eats
And-
his own shit. All right, Iggy, climb over that low
How
bar
are
that Charlie-
you doing?
Yeah. And he routinely disappoints me.
Somehow he gets there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're digging holes, and that's where they put the bar. Last question, Jesse, why's your hair blue?
Oh, so yeah, I forgot my hair was blue until I went to the washroom and looked in the mirror.
I think it looks good, by the way.
There was a Conquer cancer event. What is it, Adam?
It is Princess Margaret.
Yeah.
Color to conquer cancer.
Color. That's the real.
So they What do they do?
They spray your hair a different color.
That's right.
To bring awareness to cancer.
Princess Margaret, one of the major hospitals in this country for that sort of thing. We've done a lot of stuff with them with the Princess Margaret Lottery. We were actually at their show home with Virgin Radio a few weeks ago. And my hair was like a mauve Avenger color.
I'm disappointed you washed it out.
I went to the gym. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah. So
okay, now I'm happy you took a shower.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, because I just thought for the betterment of being in this room for 2 hours with you guys that I should have a shower.
You nailed it.
Anyway.
So yeah, anybody wondering why my hair's blue? It's because you should be donating money to cancer research.
And he loves Carl Dubas.
And Leafs.
Bluebus.
That's right.
Someone at the Apple store, actually, he's like, oh, I know why your hair is blue. And I was like, why? Why do you think my hair is blue? And he's like, because the thing they're doing down there for Princess Cancer thing. And I was like, yes! You nailed it. Kind of. Anyways, so yeah, people know. It's
Actually,
a thing.
someone came up to me on the street. This is weird. Someone came up to me on the street outside of the gym today and we're like, hey, your hair's not purple anymore because we were on TV.
Oh.
So they were like, so CP24 had us on and they were like, like that it's, we were talking to Brandon, the reporter, who's awesome. And anyway, the guy's like, you've already washed it out. And I was like,
That's cute.
Shit, maybe I should have held on to it longer. But yeah, I was thinking about you guys keeping it clean.
You're a great guy.
Noted great guy. I'm a guy who is great. Let's get out of here. What are we doing? When are we doing the next show? Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm looking for someone with the answer.
Jesse is being sarcastic right now, and maybe a little passive aggressive as well. So we'll see you Thursday. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't listened to the Chris Johnson episode, I would recommend listening to that right now. These two are not even paying attention anymore. It's just you and me talking. And we'll talk to you next episode. Thank you so much for listening. We love you.
You want to go to Kanga?
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.